Chapter 693. Old man, has your head been bitten by a dog? You're still threatening me. I'm going to go all out. What can you do about it? All right, let's get to work.
I believe that the news of the martial emperor's treasure will soon spread throughout the Star Sea.
Lu Ming smiled.
No, boy, don't you dare.
I'll kill you. I promise. The sect leader of the blood poison sect roared. But at this moment, Lu Ming stopped injecting true qi, and his voice disappeared.
I really want to see the expressions of the people of the blood poison sect.
Kenfei Ryu smiled, feeling very comfortable. Their expressions will definitely be very interesting. Lu Ming said.
Yes, the expressions of the people of the blood poison sect would be very interesting.
Damn it, that bastard. The next time I see him, I'll skin him and pull out his tendons.
The burly man roared again and again. His eyes were wide open as if they were about to spit fire.
I didn't expect that guy to have 2 jade swords. Damn it! The delicate woman also gritted her teeth, and her eyes were full of resentment. The others were about the same. Their faces were livid, and the veins on their faces were throbbing. The feeling of having nowhere to vent their anger was too uncomfortable. They were so angry that they were about to vomit blood. They were so close to success, but all their efforts were in vain. The next time we meet him, he'll definitely die. The sect leader of the blood poison sect gritted his teeth. Sect leader, what should we do now? Someone asked. 9 keys. Without 1 key, we can't open the martial emperor's treasure. We can only wait. The sect leader said helplessly. A day later, Kenfei Ryu recovered from his injuries. They went to the Wind Moon Island together. The Wind Moon Island was twice as big as the Golden Sand Island. It was very prosperous and crowded. It was said that there were even experts at the 4th level of the spiritual sea realm here. After the 3 entered the city, they bought a lot of paper and wrote the news of the martial emperor's treasure and the specific address on the paper. At night, they spread the paper everywhere. As expected, the whole Wind Moon Island was shocked the next day. Lu Ming and the other 2 had spread too much paper. It was impossible to hide it even if they wanted to. Soon, the news spread all over the Wind Moon Island. Countless people were discussing this topic. In a restaurant, Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and Kenfei Ryu were eating and drinking while listening to news from nearby. You should have heard the news about the martial emperor's treasure, right?
Nearby, the voices of other tables could be heard.
Of course I did. Everyone in the Wind Moon Island knows about it now. I wonder if the martial emperor's treasure is real or not. If it is real, why would someone spread the news everywhere? Could it be a prank?
I don't know.
An emperor's treasure. An emperor. In the entire eastern continent, there are only a few emperors. Is there really an emperor's treasure? It's a little mysterious.
No matter what,
the martial dominator's treasure is too shocking. Even if there's a 1 in 10,000 chance that it's real, I still have to take a look. If it's real, even the slightest benefit from it would be endless. That's right. I'm just afraid that it's real. Hearing the voices from nearby, Lu Ming and the other 2 looked at each other and smiled. With such a way of spreading the news, many people would definitely doubt its authenticity. However, the martial emperor's treasure was too shocking and too tempting. Even if they suspected that it was fake, most people would not be able to resist the temptation and would go take a look. This was the effect they wanted. In the next few days, the news spread further and further. Some people had even set off. Lu Ming and the other 2 hid in the Wind Moon Island and cultivated with all their might. If it was really the martial emperor's treasure, there would definitely be a fierce fight after it was opened. Naturally, the stronger they were, the better. In a mountain range, Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing were fighting with all their might. Now, Xian Yanqing had successfully merged 2 wills. Now, the main thing was to help Lu Ming merge the earth force and the other 3 wills. In the blink of an eye, another 7 days had passed. After 7 days of hard cultivation, Lu Ming finally merged the earth force into the 3 wills. He had successfully merged 3 wills and 1 force. In a guest room of a restaurant, Lu Ming entered the Temple of Paragon and sat cross-legged. There was a pile of esoteric crystals in front of him. There were 22 middle-grade fire attribute esoteric crystals. Lu Ming planned to use the profound crystals to break through to the 2nd level of the state of heaven and earth. If his state could break through to the 2nd level, his battle prowess would definitely increase greatly. He picked up a piece of profound crystal and crushed it. Next to the Tree of Enlightenment, Lu Ming began to cultivate. Before long, Lu Ming crushed another piece of middle-grade fire attribute profound crystal. Just like that, Lu Ming crushed a total of 12 medium-grade fire profound crystals. Then Lu Ming stopped.
Just a little bit more, but just a little bit more.
I still can't break through, Lu Ming muttered. Right now, his fire intent was just a little bit away from the second level, not even half a step. However, it was just a little bit, and he couldn't break through.
It seems that the second-level concept of heaven and earth is indeed different from the first-level concept of heaven and earth.
It's not something that can be continuously improved by simply relying on profound crystals. It also needs to rely on comprehension to break through the bottleneck, and then combine it with profound crystals to continuously improve.
Lu Ming pondered.
It was obvious that the fire intent had reached a bottleneck. Lu Ming didn't continue to break through to the fire intent. Instead, he took out a medium-grade wind profound crystal and started to break through to the wind intent. Just like the fire intent, after refining a dozen medium-grade wind profound crystals, his wind intent also reached the peak of the first level. It was just a little bit away from the second level, but it was still stuck.
Lu Ming shook his head and smiled bitterly. It was very difficult to break through to the second level of the state of heaven and earth.
No wonder there were so many peak kings, but so few Sea of Soul realm experts. Taking the Tianxian region's Tianxian branch palace as an example, all the elders, traveling elders, and those in seclusion, there were at least 50 peak king level experts, or even more. However, there were only 2 Sea of Soul realm experts, Shang Tsung and Mu Tian. Golden Sand Island had sent out more than 500 peak kings to fight against the sea beasts. Moreover, many of them died on the Fate battle platform. However, how many Sea of Soul realm experts were there? As long as one's talent wasn't bad and had enough resources, it wasn't hard to reach the peak king level with time. Some people could reach the peak king level after cultivating for a few hundred years. However, many people would be stuck at the peak king level, unable to break through for the rest of their lives. One could imagine how difficult it was to break through to the spiritual sea realm. At this time, Lu Ming stopped cultivating. It was about time for them to leave. After a while, Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and Kenfei Ryu flew toward the Martial Emperor's treasure island. A few days later, they arrived at the island. There was a sea of people, truly a sea of people. It was densely packed, and at a glance, it was all human figures. There were too many, at least a few 100,000, or even close to 1,000,000. And this was only the people who had rushed over from the chaotic astral ocean. The people from the other ocean regions hadn't arrived yet. The 3 of them squeezed their way through the crowd. Chapter 694. Damn! Is there really a Martial Emperor's treasure? Why hasn't it been opened yet? I heard that a total of 9 keys are needed to open it. The blood poison sect has 8, and the last one is in the hands of a young man. That young man hasn't come yet. Some people speculate that the news was released by that young man. He should be here soon.
Let's wait a little longer.
Sounds of discussion came from all around. With great difficulty, they squeezed to the front. Countless people surrounded the island in the air.
Lu Ming and the others squeezed to the front and saw the people of the blood poison sect standing together with ashen faces. There were a dozen people around them, and each of them had an extremely powerful aura. They were all experts in the 4th layer of the spiritual ocean tier. Among them, there were even experts stronger than the 4th layer of the spiritual ocean tier.
Haha, everyone of the blood poison sect. How have you been? Lu Ming squeezed to the front and laughed loudly. The people of the blood poison sect looked over. Little bastard, you finally showed yourself. You're courting death.
Kill that little bastard.
When the people of the blood poison sect saw Lu Ming, their eyes burned with flames as they stared at Lu Ming, their killing intent incomparably dense. Lu Ming took a few steps back and squeezed into the crowd, saying, "What? You want to fight? There are so many experts here. Let's see how you'll kill them." The people of the blood poison sect roared furiously, but there was nothing they could do. There were too many people here, and they were all experts. With Lu Ming in the crowd, how could they fight? Once they fought, they would implicate others and incur the wrath of the crowd. They would be the ones to die. They could only glare at Lu Ming, wishing they could skin him alive and pull out his tendons. The Martial Emperor's treasure was originally going to fall into the hands of the blood poison sect. They were about to see the hope of the blood poison sect's rapid rise. But now?
There were so many people, and a dozen of them were in the 4th layer of the spiritual ocean tier.
There were even stronger experts.
Now that the martial emperor's treasure was opened, they could at most drink a mouthful of soup.
Whether they could drink this soup or not was still a problem. All of this was caused by Lu Ming. It was all caused by Lu Ming. How could they not hate him?
As for the fact that they were the ones who made the first move and wanted to monopolize the martial monarch's treasure, they did not even think about it.
In their opinion, that was what they should do, and the others should fulfill their wish. The others also looked at Lu Ming. Could it be that the last key was in Lu Ming's hands? Lu Ming smiled as a jade sword appeared in his hand.
With a swing of his hand, the jade sword flew towards a green-robed old man.
"Senior, I'll give this key to you," Lu Ming said.
The green-robed old man's aura was unfathomable, even stronger than the blood-poison sect's sect master.
The green-robed elder stretched out his hand and caught the jade sword.
A smile appeared on his face as he said, "Not bad, little guy." Then, he looked at the blood-poison sect and said, "Take out your keys and open the martial emperor's treasury together."
"Damn it!"
The blood-poison sect master roared in his heart.
He was extremely unwilling. But so what if he was unwilling?
Today, he could only obediently take out his keys and open the martial emperor's treasury.
If they did not take out their keys, they would die.
8 jade swords appeared in the hands of the blood-poison sect.
Bas!
When the 9 jade swords appeared at the same time, they moved and emitted a slight tremor. Complex runes appeared on the surface of the 9 swords.
What mysterious inscriptions! What a brilliant inscription formation! Lu Ming's eyes flickered. Currently, his inscription Dao was quite good, so his vision was naturally different.
He could see that the inscription formation on the 9 jade swords was extremely brilliant, and could even be said to be mysterious.
Bas! At this moment, the 9 sword-like stone pillars on the island began to vibrate. Inscriptions appeared on them, resonating with the 9 jade swords. Whoosh! Whoosh! Following this, the 9 jade swords separated from the hands of the crowd and flew towards the 9 stone pillars. Each jade sword corresponded to a stone pillar. As the light flickered, the 9 jade swords flew into the 9 stone pillars and disappeared. At this moment, the 9 stone pillars shone brightly. 9 light pillars soared into the sky like 9 divine swords. A frightening scene appeared. The sky above the island was originally filled with people. Now, as the 9 sword lights rushed towards them, those people exploded and turned into dust. They didn't even have time to scream. "Retreat! Retreat!" Terrified screams rang out as countless people frantically retreated. Lu Ming and the others were not directly above the light pillars, so they had avoided the disaster. At this moment, they were also frantically retreating. It was too terrifying. At least 10,000 people had died in that attack. There were even Sea of Soul Realm experts among them. However, under the light pillars, they couldn't resist at all. Some people's eyes lit up. It seemed like it really was the martial emperor's treasury. Even if it wasn't, it was still no small matter. Boom! The 9 light pillars converged into one in the sky, and its power was even stronger. Rumble! At this moment, the island shook violently. Then, everyone saw that the island had split into 2 halves. Moreover, the 2 halves of the island were dozens of miles apart. In the middle of the island, a whirlpool appeared. Endless seawater spun and turned into a huge whirlpool. No one knew where the center of the whirlpool led to. Rumble! The whirlpool spun and rumbled. Its power was shocking. Could it be that the martial emperor's treasury was under this whirlpool? Everyone hesitated. For a moment, no one dared to go down first. After a while, someone finally couldn't bear it anymore. A white-haired old man stepped out and said, "Since I don't have much time left, I might as well take the risk." This old man was a peak king. If he couldn't break through to the spiritual ocean realm, he would die of old age. The martial emperor's treasury was an opportunity for him. After reaching the spiritual ocean realm, one's lifespan would increase by another 1,000 years. He rushed into the whirlpool and followed it down, disappearing in the blink of an eye. No problem. No problem. Many people's eyes lit up. Go! Then, another group of people rushed down. Ah! This time, someone screamed as his body was torn apart, dying miserably in the whirlpool. However, some people rushed in. The person who died was a martial ancestor realm cultivator. Martial king realm cultivator. It's fine. Martial king realm cultivators can withstand the power of the whirlpool. That's right. Martial Ancestor Realm ants want to get a share of the Martial Emperor's treasury. What a dream. Go. Immediately, more people rushed in. They were all Martial King Realm cultivators and above. Sure enough, they were fine. One by one, they disappeared in the center of the whirlpool. Thus, more and more people flew down. After a while, the spiritual ocean realm cultivators couldn't bear it anymore and flew toward the whirlpool. The people of the blood poison sect looked coldly at Lu Ming and flew into the whirlpool, disappearing. As for the Martial Ancestor Realm cultivators, they were extremely unwilling, but there was nothing they could do. There were even some Martial Ancestor Realm cultivators who didn't believe it and rushed in, dying miserably. Chapter 695. Brother Jian, do you want to go? Lu Ming looked at Kenfei Ryu. Go, of course, the Martial Emperor's treasure. Regardless of whether it's real or not, we can't miss it. Kenfei Ryu's eyes were filled with determination. Geniuses were called geniuses not only because of their talent and perseverance, but also because they had to grasp the opportunity. If they did not dare to grasp the opportunity in front of them, they would not be called geniuses. All right, let's go together. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and Kenfei Ryu charged into the whirlpool together. As soon as they entered the whirlpool, Lu Ming felt a strong tearing force from the surrounding seawater acting on his body. However, this force was only a threat to Martial Ancestor Realm cultivators. It was nothing to them. The three of them followed the whirlpool and continued to descend. Very soon, they reached the bottom of the sea. However, they did not stop. There seemed to be a huge cave at the bottom of the sea. It was pitch black inside the cave. There was an extremely powerful suction force from inside, pulling Lu Ming and the group down. Lu Ming realized that he was insignificant under this suction force, unable to resist at all. In the next moment, he, Xian Yanqing, and the others disappeared from the cave. It was pitch black all around. There was no sound and no movement. Lu Ming only felt that his body kept on descending. He did not know where he was going to land. Could it be that the Martial Emperor's treasure is deep underground? Lu Ming thought to himself. After descending for an unknown period of time, Lu Ming suddenly felt the world spinning around him, as if he had taken the interzone teleportation formation. In the next moment, he realized that he was in mid-air, and his body was descending rapidly. Lu Ming's expression changed slightly as he hurriedly circulated his true yuan. He realized that the circulation of his true yuan was much more difficult than before, as if there was a strong resistance. Even flying had become much more strenuous than before. Furthermore, the speed of flying had also become much slower. Lu Ming controlled his body and hovered in the air, carefully sizing it up. There was no moon or sun in the sky, but there seemed to be many stars high up in the sky. However, these stars were all crimson in color and emitted crimson light. This was where the light source was located. Below them was an endless land. Where is this? Is it in another large region or deep underground? Lu Ming frowned. Previously, he had felt that he was falling. Shao Qing, Kenfei Ryu, they're gone. Lu Ming muttered. With a thought, Dandan appeared on his shoulder. Before entering, Lu Ming had already stuffed Dandan into the Supreme Divine Palace. Dandan, do you know where we are? Lu Ming asked. Dandan looked around and pondered for a moment. Then, it shook its head and said, I don't remember this place. It's so strange. It doesn't seem like we're on the ground. Dandan didn't know, so Lu Ming didn't ask any more questions. After looking around for a while, he landed on the ground. After landing on the ground, Lu Ming's eyes flickered. This piece of land was actually a graveyard. As far as the eye could see, there were gigantic tombs everywhere, one after another, forming a vast expanse. There's someone. Lu Ming saw a figure flash in front of him. It was a peak-level king. Lu Ming moved and followed him. Slowly, he found that there were more and more people in front of him. In the end, he found that there were about 1,000 people scattered in front of him. Everyone, do any of you know where this place is? Someone asked. I don't know. Didn't they say that it was the Martial Emperor's treasure? Why would it be here? There are tombs everywhere. Where would the treasure be? Maybe the Martial Emperor's treasure is somewhere else? We need to find it ourselves. That's true. If it's really the Martial Emperor's treasure, how could it be so easy to get it? Everyone spoke one after another, expressing their own opinions. Little bastard. Suddenly, there was a loud roar.
Lu Ming felt a cold murderous intent shrouding him. When he turned around, he saw a burly man glaring at Lu Ming with murderous intent in his eyes, as if he wanted to eat him alive. It was the burly man from the blood poison sect, Xueqi. This person was an expert in the third layer of the spiritual sea realm. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. He didn't expect to meet the burly man as soon as he entered this place. The burly man revealed a ferocious smile. A powerful aura spread out from his body like a vast ocean, enveloping Lu Ming. The people nearby couldn't help but move aside. An expert in the third layer of the spiritual sea realm was extremely terrifying. They were afraid of being affected. "Little bastard, this is your fate. You're destined to die in my hands. Let's see how you escape today." Dong, dong. Before he finished speaking, the burly man rushed towards Lu Ming with large strides, like a wild beast trampling the earth. Lu Ming retreated rapidly. With every step, his foot would step on the ground, and a light flashed. Shill, shill. When the burly man rushed over, lines of inscriptions appeared on the ground, forming a long spear that pierced towards the burly man. The long spear pierced through the air with terrifying power. Even a spiritual sea realm expert would be killed if careless. However, the burly man punched out, shattering the spear light. His figure didn't stop at all as he charged towards Lu Ming. "Little bastard, although your Tao of inscription is strong, how can a formation set up in a hurry do anything to me? Today I'll kill you!" Bang! Bang! The burly man shouted and punched out with both fists. Two mighty fist lights blasted towards Lu Ming. Heaven and earth shook violently as if the space was about to be pierced through. A terrifying pressure pressed down on Lu Ming's body, and Lu Ming's muscles tightened. Pang! Lu Ming stepped on the ground, and inscriptions appeared, forming two shields in front of him. His figure retreated rapidly. With two explosions, the two shields were shattered. The fist power didn't stop as it blasted towards Lu Ming. The third layer of the spiritual sea realm at his peak was too strong. Lu Ming couldn't fight against him at all. Even if Lu Ming's Tao of inscription was extremely powerful, he was still only at the 5th level after all. Go! Lu Ming used the 9 Dragons Heaven Stomping Steps and dodged the fist lights. He planned to continue using the 9 Dragons Heaven Stomping Steps and leave this place. Shill! Shill! Suddenly, a sharp sound broke through the air. Endless arrows shot towards them from all directions, covering the sky and the earth. Everyone was shrouded in it. "Oh no, there's someone here." Many people's faces changed as they burst out their cultivation to block the arrows from all directions. Bang! Bang! Just as they bombarded the arrows and wanted to knock them away, the arrows suddenly exploded. The power was extremely terrifying. Many low-level king-level cultivators were directly killed by the explosion, and screams were endless. Around Lu Ming, there were also dozens of arrows that exploded, making him retreat a few steps. As for the burly man, it was unknown whether he was too strong or just unlucky, but there were hundreds of arrows that shot towards him. Although they didn't hurt him, they made him look quite embarrassed. Shoot! Chapter 696. What's that? Lu Ming's pupils shrank. He saw a talisman on each arrow. The talisman was less than the size of a palm and was attached to the arrow. As soon as the arrow was shot, the talisman on the arrow would explode, releasing a huge amount of energy. The explosion of the arrow was caused by the talisman. Whoosh! Whoosh! Lu Ming's figure flashed rapidly. He tried his best to avoid this kind of arrow and avoid coming into contact with it. Boom! Boom! Intense explosions rang out non-stop. Following the explosions were miserable screams. Many more people were killed by the explosions. However, most of the people who were killed were below the 4th layer Martial King realm. Those above the 4th layer Martial King realm resisted the power of the explosion with their wills and powerful true chi. Whoosh! Whoosh! However, the arrows kept coming. The sky was filled with the sound of the air being pierced. Oh no! Lu Ming's countenance suddenly changed. He realized that a few arrows were terrifyingly fast. They were a few times faster than the other arrows. In an instant, they were right in front of him. His figure flashed, but there was still an arrow that he did not manage to evade. It was shot in front of Lu Ming. Lu Ming's vital essence erupted, forming a vital essence shield. With a bang, the arrow exploded. What a powerful arrow! Its penetrative power is amazing. Lu Ming's expression changed. Although he had shattered the arrow, It was because of his profound cultivation and abundant true qi that he was fine. However, the others were not so lucky. More cries of agony were heard. Many fourth-layer martial king realm and above warriors had their true qi shields penetrated and their bodies pierced by the arrows, dying a violent death. Even the seventh-layer martial king realm and above warriors were able to block the arrows, but it consumed a lot of true qi. Talisman again. Lu Ming found that the arrows with strong penetrative power also had a talisman on them. The talisman was blue in color, which could greatly increase the speed and penetrative power. Whoosh! Whoosh! Another wave of attacks came before the first one. Just now, the burly man's battle prowess was so strong that he was probably the focus of attention. Arrows were constantly being shot at him, so he had no time to chase after Lu Ming. Charge! Charge in one direction. Otherwise, we're all going to die. Someone shouted. Charge! Charge in one direction. Everyone joined forces and charged in the same direction. Just a moment ago, there were still over 1,000 of them. But now, there were only 300 to 400 of them left. More than half of them had been killed. Hundreds of people charged in one direction and broke through the barrage of arrows. Rumble! A rumbling sound came from the ground, and a howl came from the front. It was the howl of a wolf. Smoke and dust filled the air. Giant waves appeared one after another, rushing towards them. There was a figure sitting on each of the giant wolves. These figures were dressed differently from them. There were both men and women. The women were draped in animal skins, revealing their slender legs. The men were bare-chested, with animal skins covering their lower bodies. Their skin was bronze, and they carried longbows on their backs. Kill! These people trespassed into the forbidden area. Kill them all! A muscular man roared. The giant wolves howled and stomped on the ground, charging toward Lu Ming's group. Lu Ming's group also unleashed their attacks, including sword intents and saber glows, slashing at the giant waves. Clang! Clang! Their attacks landed on the giant wolves, producing the sound of metal clashing. The giant wolves were not afraid of the attacks. They charged forward with their claws as sharp as blades. A seventh-layer martial emperor realm cultivator's protective chi was torn apart by the wolf claws. Following this, his body was also torn apart. It was not only one person who ended up like this, but many of them. Puppets, they're puppets. Lu Ming swung his spear and knocked a giant wolf flying. His eyes widened slightly. These giant wolves were not made of flesh and blood. They were puppets made of various metals. Their bodies were as tough as diamond, indestructible. Most importantly, there were too many puppets. There were at least 1,000 of them, and this was only one direction. There were more in the other directions. Lu Ming swung his spear, knocking the giant waves away. Some of the giant wolves even exploded. Kill that brat! A burly man was riding on an exceptionally huge wolf. He charged toward Lu Ming and his huge wolf claws grabbed Lu Ming directly. Lu Ming swung his spear. With a loud bang, the giant wolf was knocked back. However, Lu Ming's body also trembled and he took a few steps back. The giant wolf puppet was equivalent to the Sea of Spirit realm. Kill! After being knocked back, the muscular man controlled the giant wolf puppet and charged toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming swung his spear and knocked the giant wolf back. He stopped fighting and rushed over. The muscular man from the blood poison sect was the most miserable. He was besieged by 3 terrifying giant wolves. One of the 3 giant wolf puppets was equivalent to the 3rd layer of the Sea of Spirit realm, and the other 2 were equivalent to the peak of the 2nd layer. They were indestructible and suppressed the muscular man. Rumble! In the other 4 directions, the ground also rumbled violently. Wolf howls were heard as countless puppet armies charged toward them. Charge! Charge! Many martial artists charged with no regard for their own safety. They used all their trump cards. The situation was too dangerous. If they didn't charge out, they would be surrounded by the puppet armies from the other 3 directions. Only death awaited them. Trespassers will be killed without mercy. Kill! Shouts shook the sky as the attacks were like a tide. Lu Ming held his spear and charged. Along the way, he knocked back several Sea of Spirit realm puppets. He kept charging forward. Brat, die! A figure at least 2 meters tall slashed at him with a saber. The saber cut through the air and made a terrifying sonic boom. Lu Ming blocked with the infinite dragon spear. A terrifying power surged, and Lu Ming's body floated back.
a puppet equivalent to the second layer of the Sea of Spirit realm. Moreover, it's in human form. Lu Ming's eyes turned serious. Then, he moved and charged to the right. The human-shaped puppet was metallic in color. Its eyes were extremely cold. As it stepped on the ground, a huge pit appeared on the ground. It charged toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming stepped on the ground, and lines of inscriptions appeared. At the same time, he waved his hands, and lines of inscriptions disappeared into the ground. Inscription Master. The human-shaped puppet actually spoke human language, which was a bit surprising. Trap. Lu Ming waved his hands, and the inscriptions on the ground spread and turned into a huge net, covering the human-shaped puppet. The human-shaped puppet slashed with its saber, but it couldn't break the net for a while. Lu Ming rushed into the sky and flew into the distance. Let's go through the air. The others followed suit, wanting to escape through the air. But what made them despair was that the giant wolf puppets extended their wings from both sides and could also fly into the sky to chase after them. This was a bloody battle. No one cared about the others, and each of them tried their best to charge out. Lu Ming didn't know how many giant wolf puppets he defeated before he rushed out of the graveyard and into a forest. Chapter 697. Lu Ming landed in a forest. The trees here were extremely strange. They were dark red and completely different from the trees Lu Ming had seen before. Without thinking too much, Lu Ming took out a pile of supreme-grade spirit crystals. After swallowing them, he began to recover his Zhan Yuan. Half an hour later, Lu Ming's Zhan Yuan had basically recovered. Suddenly, his expression changed as he looked at the sky. More than 20 people flew over and landed. They were all people from the chaotic astral ocean like him. These people were basically peak kings who had rushed out of the encirclement and arrived here. However, each of them had suffered different degrees of injuries. Naturally, they also saw Lu Ming. Seeing Lu Ming dressed like them, they let out a sigh of relief. A few of them stood guard while the others healed. Lu Ming didn't speak. He sat cross-legged not far away, but his mind was constantly thinking. What was this place? And who were those people who attacked them? Looking at their clothes, they seemed to be very ancient. They were actually wearing beast skins. In the Divine Wilderness continent, Lu Ming heard that only some tribes in extremely remote areas wore beast skins. The key was that these people could actually refine runes and make puppets. This was strange. Runes and puppets were all branches of the path of inscription. Just like inscription talismans, only true inscription masters could refine them. These humans who were dressed like primitive tribes actually had many true inscription masters? After 1 or 2 hours, the 20 people had more or less recovered. Everyone, do you know where those people came from? And what is this place? Lu Ming asked. During the battle just now, I think I heard someone call us people from the outside world. Is this place really underground? A rather elegant middle-aged man pondered and said, Underground? It can't really be underground, right? There's actually a world underground? Someone was very surprised. The others didn't say anything, but they knew in their hearts that there was most likely no mistake. When they came in, they kept going down and didn't know how far they had fallen. If it's really underground, then it's troublesome. How do we get out? Someone asked worriedly. Since we came in through the entrance of the Martial Emperor's treasure, then we'll definitely be able to leave. But first we need to figure out the situation here. Lu Ming said. That's right, this little brother is right. The middle-aged man nodded. At this time, Lu Ming's expression changed. He looked up at the sky, and then his face changed. He said, Not good, those people are chasing after us. Let's go. Finished speaking, Lu Ming rose into the air and flew off into the distance. The others were slightly taken aback. They turned their heads and saw over 100 giant wolves spreading their wings and flying toward them at an extremely fast speed. Let's go, let's go. Their expressions changed drastically. They all rose into the air and flew forward. Lu Ming's speed was very fast. He shook off those giant wolf puppets and landed 10,000 miles away. This time, he landed in a valley. As for the scholarly middle-aged man and the others, they had long since separated from him. However, a few hours later, the giant wolf puppet actually chased after him again. What's going on? How can those people know where I am and accurately find me every time? Lu Ming frowned and pondered. He flew forward rapidly. Soon, he shook off those giant wolves and landed in a mountain forest. Lu Ming carefully looked around. Suddenly, his eyes flickered.
He drew in the air with his hand, and lines of inscriptions appeared and landed on an ancient tree.
Lines of inscriptions appeared on the ancient tree, forming a mysterious inscription formation. Sure enough, there are formations everywhere in this mountain forest. These formations should be used for surveillance. They can detect the aura of nearby people and lock onto their position. Lu Ming nodded. He had an answer in his heart. In that case, I'll break these formations. Lu Ming waved his hands. The inscription formation on the ancient tree trembled and collapsed, disappearing. Then, Lu Ming wandered around the area. Sure enough, he found many such inscription formations and broke them all. After breaking the formations in this area, Lu Ming rested in this area. Sure enough, after a long time, no one chased after him. Where should I go next? Could it be that the martial emperor's treasure is only used to deceive people and has no other purpose? Lu Ming was very puzzled.
He felt that this matter was very strange.
Because the entrance to the chaotic astral ocean was definitely set up by someone outside. There must be a purpose. Perhaps the real martial emperor's treasure was hidden in this underground world. I'd better find a way to understand the distribution of the underground world. It's best if I can blend in. Then I'll know what to do next. Lu Ming pondered. While Lu Ming was guessing, there was a huge ancient city more than 10,000 miles away. This ancient city was basically built with stones. The city walls were made of stones, and the buildings in the city were also made of stones. In the middle of the ancient city, there was a huge stone hall. At this moment, a group of people was discussing something. Most of them were old men wearing animal skins. At this moment, a burly man was reporting to a few old men. Someone from the outside world. Could it really be someone from the outside world? A chubby old man muttered to himself, frowning and pondering. Could it be that the ancient legend is true? If someone from the outside world comes, there must be a son of destiny who can revive the ancient ancestor and teach the major tribes to inscribe the great Tao again. Legends don't come out of nowhere. All the great tribes have such legends. Moreover, if a tribe can find the child of heaven's will and revive the ancient ancestor, that tribe will receive the ancient ancestor's favor and be taught a supreme art. One by one, the old men expressed their opinions. This is a chance for our Sky Wolf tribe. Pass down the order. We can only capture the people from the outside world alive. If it's not necessary, we can't kill them. Our Sky Wolf tribe must capture more people from the outside world than the other tribes.
One of the oldest elders spoke.
Yes, elder.
The burly man accepted the order and left.
The son of destiny must be in the hands of our Sky Wolf tribe. The Sky Wolf tribe elder's turbid eyes emitted a bright light that was more dazzling than the stars. After resting for a while, Lu Ming continued to move. He randomly chose a direction and continued to fly. Boom, boom. After Lu Ming flew for a few thousand miles, two fists suddenly came at him from below. The power was terrifying. Zhongemo. Lu Ming's pupils shrank. He took a few steps and used the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps. Heaven and earth roared as he blocked the two fists. However, Lu Ming's body was sent flying by the huge force. Puff! Lu Ming flew for 1,000 meters before stopping.
He spat out a few mouthfuls of blood and his legs were trembling.
Die! The burly man from the blood poison sect followed closely behind the fists. With a roar, his killing intent surged. He threw 2 more fists at Lu Ming. He wanted to kill Lu Ming with lightning speed so that Lu Ming wouldn't have time to escape. Exploding Star Fist. Lu Ming threw out dozens of punches consecutively.
Dozens of fist gleams collided in front of him.
After this period of cultivation, Lu Ming's exploding Star Fist had already reached the 6th level. Chapter 698. The 3-colored dragon roared, its roar shaking the sky as it pounced down. However, Zhongemo was in the 3rd layer of the spiritual sea realm and was too strong. The 2 fist rays shattered all of Lu Ming's exploding Star Fist, and the 3-colored dragon was scattered. However, it was still blocked for a moment. Just this moment was enough. Lu Ming waved his hands, and instantly, dense inscriptions appeared on his body. In an instant, Lu Ming carved 7 inscription formations on himself. Among them, there was an inscription formation for True Origin Explosion, an inscription formation for increasing speed, an inscription formation for increasing physical strength, an inscription formation for increasing defense. With the addition of the inscription formations, Lu Ming's battle power increased again. Kill! Below, Zhongemo didn't give up, and his murderous aura was like a tide. Little bastard, I'll see how you carve inscriptions in the air. Zhongemo sneered, and his fist ray was like a mountain, striking towards Lu Ming. Ordinary inscriptionists couldn't carve inscription formations in the air. Only those who reached the 7th level of inscriptionists, and those who were true inscriptionists, could carve inscription formations in the air and make use of them. This could only be done if one's mental strength was extremely powerful. Lu Ming couldn't do it now. If he carved inscriptions in the air, the inscriptions would soon dissipate. Back on the 7-colored island, the 7-colored spiritual master had carved formations in the air, and his methods were unpredictable. Boom! Lu Ming didn't bother to talk nonsense with him, and his spear smashed down. The huge spear ray was as big as a mountain, and the pressure made the space tremble. This spear was supported by 7 inscription formations by Lu Ming, and it exploded with full power. Even an elite at the peak of the first layer of the spiritual sea realm would be smashed to death by this spear. Boom! The spear ray clashed with the fist force, and a huge force exploded. Now! Lu Ming pressed the long spear, and with the force of the recoil, Lu Ming's body flew back a few thousand meters in an instant. He felt the blood in his body churning, and a trace of blood leaked out from the corner of his mouth. However, he couldn't care about that anymore. He executed the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps and turned into a streak of light, flying into the distance. Damn it, don't run! Zhongemo roared and chased after him. However, the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps was extremely fast, and with the support of the formation, his speed was even faster. Soon, he shook Zhongemo off. In one breath, Lu Ming flew more than 10,000 miles and landed in a forest. Then, he waved his hands and destroyed all the surveillance arrays in the forest. After Lu Ming devoured some of the spiritual crystals, he stood up and a cold light flashed in his eyes. This guy must die. With a flash of killing intent in his eyes, Lu Ming waved his hands and inscribed an inscription array on the ground. One by one, the inscriptions sank into the ground. It took Lu Ming half an hour to carve the inscriptions before he stopped. Kid, you're vicious enough. You inscribed 36 killing arrays in one breath and added an illusion array to cover it up. Even if that guy is a warrior at the 3rd level of the spiritual sea realm, once he steps in here, he must die. Dandan grinned. Isn't it better this way? Lu Ming smiled. Good, of course it's good. Haha, let's go and lure that guy here. I can't wait. Dandan sneered, his eyes shining. Lu Ming flew up and went back the way he came. He didn't hide his aura at all. There were no surveillance inscriptions in the air, so he wasn't afraid of being discovered by the underground humans. After flying for a few thousand miles, a burly figure flew in front of him. It was Zhongemo, but his clothes were messy and he looked a little embarrassed. Apparently, he met the underground humans on the way. Little bastard. As soon as he saw Lu Ming, Zhongmo's eyes turned red and he chased after Lu Ming with murderous intent. Lu Ming pretended to be shocked and turned to run. Zhongemo chased after him. In the process of running, Lu Ming pretended to spit out blood again. Zhongemo sneered and said, "Little bastard, you're injured and can't run away. Rather than die in the hands of the underground people, it's better to let me kill you." Lu Ming did not utter a word. He lowered his head and ran at full speed. The two of them, one in front and one behind, traversed thousands of miles in no time and arrived at the place where Lu Ming had set up the array previously. Lu Ming flew down and started running in the forest. Haha, you can't sustain your genuine chi. This time you're dead. Zhongemo was delighted. He also landed and chased after Lu Ming. But after running for a while, Lu Ming suddenly stopped and turned around with a strange smile on his face. He looked at Zhongemo. For some reason, when he saw Lu Ming's smile, Zhongmo's heart suddenly tightened and he felt a little scared. He couldn't help but stop. Little bastard, why don't you run? You know you can't run away, right? Zhongemo took a deep breath and got rid of that inexplicable feeling. He sneered at Lu Ming. Run. Why should I run? I'll stay and send you on your way. Lu Ming smiled. Shameless boasting. Zhongemo shouted coldly. His genuine chi exploded and his body revealed a terrifying power. Bang! At this moment, Lu Ming suddenly stepped forward. As Lu Ming stepped forward, bright inscriptions appeared where Xueqi was standing. The dense inscriptions intertwined with each other and were dazzling and beautiful. However, Xueqi wasn't in the mood to appreciate this kind of beauty.
His heart sank as he roared and rushed forward crazily.
Swoosh!
The sound of something breaking through the air was heard as a giant sword was formed.
It gave off a terrifying aura as it slashed towards Xueqi immediately after. Gigantic swords appeared from all directions and slashed towards Xueqi. And this was only one formation. Then, the inscriptions kept flashing. 36 inscription formations were activated one after another with shocking power. Xueqi's heart went cold as he roared, "Little bastard. You actually set up an inscription formation here. You're despicable." "Ha ha ha, I'm despicable. I'm an inscription master, and inscription masters use inscriptions to fight. Also, you're a martial artist in the 3rd layer of the spiritual sea realm. How dare you say I'm despicable?" Lu Ming sneered. He stepped forward and endless inscriptions appeared. All kinds of attacks burst out. Flames, storms, ice, sharp swords, battle sabers. All kinds of attacks instantly drowned Xueqi. In the formation, Xueqi roared again and again, but after a while, his roars disappeared and only the sound of inscriptions was left. After a while, it quieted down and the light disappeared. Xueqi's figure was no longer in the formation. Xueqi had completely disappeared from this world, leaving behind only a storage ring. Lu Ming reached out and sucked the storage ring into his hand. Then, he turned around and soared into the sky, leaving this place. His face was calm. The moment Xueqi stepped into the formation, he knew that Xueqi was dead for sure. The truly terrifying part of an inscription master was that given enough time, he could set up a terrifying formation. With enough time and materials, it was even possible to kill enemies one level higher. Of course, the formation you set up must not be discovered by the enemy. The enemy had to step into the formation for it to work. Chapter 699. Formations that could be cast in an instant were what determined an inscription master's battle prowess. Now, Lu Ming's instant formation could kill a martial artist in the 1st layer of the spiritual sea realm. So, it was normal that the chain formation Lu Ming spent half an hour to set up could kill Xueqi in the 3rd layer of the spiritual sea realm.
If he was given more time, he might even be able to lay out an even more powerful formation and slaughter even more powerful Sea of Soul realm experts.
Of course, that was only if the opponent stepped into the formation. Lu Ming flew forward. During this time, he met several underground humans riding giant wolf puppets. Lu Ming used the 9 dragon sky stomping steps to get rid of them. Every team has a puppet equivalent to the 4th layer of the spiritual sea realm. Lu Ming was deep in his thoughts. The 4th layer of the spiritual sea realm was much stronger than him. If he met them, he could only run. No, going down blindly like this is not a solution. I have to catch an underground human and find out what is going on in this underground world. Lu Ming pondered. Of course, he couldn't fight recklessly. He still had to rely on inscriptions. Lu Ming chose a place and started to inscribe inscriptions. This time, Lu Ming spent 3 hours to set up 81 level 5 inscription formations. There were also 3 illusion formations that covered up the traces of the inscription formation. Then, he rose into the air and randomly chose a direction to fly in. Soon, he saw a team of underground humans riding giant wolf puppets. "Outsiders, stop right there." With a loud roar, the team charged directly at Lu Ming. Lu Ming turned and ran. Soon, he arrived at the place where he set up the formation. He landed on the ground and ran forward. The underground humans also landed and chased him on giant wolves. After chasing for a while, Lu Ming suddenly stopped. "Die!" Lu Ming's eyes flashed coldly. With a step, the formation was activated. Endless inscriptions intertwined and enveloped more than 100 underground humans. Damn it! This person knows inscriptions. We fell into his trap. Break out, break out. A large man riding on a giant wolf puppet at the 4th layer of the spiritual ocean realm roared repeatedly and charged to the side. But what welcomed him was endless attacks. Damn it! The burly man waved his hand, and a scroll appeared in his hand. He unfurled it, and a screen of light enveloped him. Inscription symbol scroll. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. In addition to the Great Khan, there were also some other people who took out inscription scrolls. Some were defensive, some were offensive, and there were all kinds of them. They controlled the puppets and attacked continuously. However, Lu Ming had spent 3 hours to inscribe a total of 81 formations. How could it be so easy to break through? For a moment, the rumbling continued. The underground humans could not rush out at all. These subterranean humans also practice martial arts. However, their martial arts cultivation is much lower than their inscription cultivation. It seems that their martial arts cultivation is just to support their inscription cultivation. Lu Ming observed while controlling the attacks. Among them, there were a few underground humans with high cultivation. Their hands were constantly drawing. They were actually inscribing the inscription formation to fight against Lu Ming's formation. True inscription master. Among these 100 people, Lu Ming saw at least 5 true inscription masters. There were even 2 true inscription masters of 6 apex inscription. Amazing! The subterranean humans are actually so advanced in inscription cultivation. The ratio of true inscription masters is really high. Those puppets are too hard. Let's kill the subterranean humans first. Lu Ming waved his hands and controlled the inscription formation to attack the subterranean humans on the puppets. Screams sounded continuously, and the subterranean humans were constantly killed. Friend from the outer world, we have no evil intentions. We just want to invite you to the Sky Wolf tribe for a chat. Why do you have to be so ruthless? The strongest man yelled. Lu Ming sneered. No evil intentions? There were more than 1,000 of them before. In the end, less than 200 escaped. The rest were all dead. So, no evil intentions? How could Lu Ming believe it? He controlled the formation wholeheartedly. The gorgeous inscriptions shone and turned into a terrifying killing weapon. The subterranean humans were killed one by one. Of course, he controlled more attacks to kill the strongest subterranean human. The power of the 81 formations was horrifying. Soon, only 2 of the 100 subterranean humans were left. The rest were all dead, including the strongest man. Even some of the lower-level puppets were shattered. Only 5 Sea of Soul Realm puppets were left behind. Lu Ming controlled the array and calmed it down. His gaze was cold as he looked at the 2 survivors. The 2 were pale, and their eyes were filled with endless fear. Of course, these 2 were left by Lu Ming on purpose. What should I ask next? What should you answer? Otherwise die. Lu Ming looked at the 2. Don't even think about it. One of them shouted. Lu Ming's eyes were cold. He waved his hand, and a spear light burst out, nailing the man to the ground. Then he looked at the last one and said, "What about you?" "I'll tell you. I'll tell you everything. Please let me go," the man shouted. This man was a middle-aged man. He was tall and thin and he looked quite smart. "As long as I'm satisfied with your explanation, I'll let you go," Lu Ming said. He walked to the puppets that were not destroyed. He waved his hand and collected the 5 giant wolf puppets. Then, he took the tall and thin man and left. While flying, Lu Ming asked the expert some questions. The lanky man naturally told Lu Ming everything he knew and answered him wholeheartedly. He was afraid that Lu Ming would kill him if he was unsatisfied. One day later, Lu Ming sat cross-legged on a green rock on a mountain peak. As for the tall and thin man, Lu Ming let him go. It didn't matter if he let him go. After all, he didn't know where he was. So, this is really the underground world. And it's divided into so many tribes. Lu Ming murmured, recalling the tall and thin man's words. The underground world was divided into many human tribes. The tribe that Lu Ming encountered before was called the Sky Wolf tribe. It was just one of many tribes. The humans here only knew some superficial martial arts cultivation methods thousands of years ago. But thousands of years ago, the ancient ancestors of the underground humans descended and passed down the path of inscription. The combat strength of the underground humans increased greatly. But after the ancient ancestors passed down some inscription methods, they fell into a deep sleep on the sacred mountain. This deep sleep lasted for thousands of years. After the ancient ancestors fell into a deep sleep, the various tribes went to war. The underground world fell into chaos. Just like that, thousands of years passed. But in the underground world, there was a legend among the tribes. That was one day people from the outer world would descend. And among the people from the outer world, there would be a destined person who could awaken the ancient ancestors. The tribe that could obtain the destined person would receive a great reward after awakening the ancient ancestors. So they went everywhere to capture Lu Ming and the others. So that was the case. Lu Ming's mind became clear. Ancient ancestors? Sacred mountain? Destined person? What's going on with these? Lu Ming frowned and pondered. Chapter 700. Lu Ming took out the map and looked at it. The underground world had a vast territory and was divided into hundreds of tribes. The Sky Wolf tribe was located in the south. The sacred mountain was located in the center of this land. We came here for the martial emperor's treasure. The entrance to the chaotic astral ocean must have been set up by someone. The ancient ancestor of this world suddenly descended thousands of years ago. Could it be that the ancient ancestor was the one who set up the entrance? Or could it be that the ancient ancestor was the martial emperor? Thinking of this, Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. But if it was really the martial emperor, why would he hide in this place? And sleep for thousands of years without waking up? Lu Ming realized that the martial emperor's treasure was not that simple. According to the tall and thin man, every tribe was now capturing people from outside the earth, hoping to find the destined person. Then, in a month, the underground humans would have a ceremony to worship their ancestors. Every tribe would bring the people from outside the earth to the sacred mountain. Only the destined person could pass the tests and finally awaken the ancient ancestor. It seems that if I want to know the secret, I can only go to the sacred mountain. But Lu Ming looked at the map and frowned. There were dozens of tribes between the sacred mountain and the Sky Wolf tribe. If he rushed there and avoided the pursuit of every tribe, he didn't know when he could reach the sacred mountain. Also, where was Xian Yanqing now? How was he? Lu Ming was very worried. Let's go to the sacred mountain first. Lu Ming put away the map and waved his hand. A giant wolf puppet appeared on the mountain peak. This was the giant wave puppet that was equivalent to the fourth layer of the spiritual ocean realm. Dandan, how do I use this puppet? Lu Ming asked. Although puppets were also a branch of the inscription path, Lu Ming hadn't come into contact with them yet. It's simple. Puppets are actually very similar to spirit weapons. They can be called a different kind of spirit weapon. But there are still differences. To control puppets, it's very simple. You just erase the imprint of its previous owner in the puppet, then inject your spirit fire into it to control the inscriptions in the puppet. Dandan answered. Oh. Lu Ming placed his palm on the giant wolf puppet's head. A wisp of green spiritual flame seeped into the giant wolf puppet's head. Lu Ming discovered that inside the puppet, there were dense inscriptions. These inscriptions intertwined with each other and were incomparably mysterious. Lu Ming sighed. The path of puppetry was also incomparably wondrous. He had even heard that there were powerful puppeteers who could refine puppets with their own consciousness. They were like humans, capable of learning and thinking. That was amazing. Lu Ming used his spiritual fire to erase the imprint of the puppet's previous owner. Then, he used his own spiritual fire to spread into an inscription array in the puppet's mind. Immediately, a wonderful feeling welled up in his heart. He felt that he could control the puppet at will. With a thought, the puppet roared deeply as a pair of wings spread out from its sides. It soared into the air and circled around the area before returning back to the mountain peak. The rate at which the spiritual fire is being consumed is truly astonishing. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. Controlling a puppet consumed a lot of spiritual power. Without enough spiritual power, it would be difficult to control it. The higher the puppet's level, the more terrifying the spiritual power it consumed. However, Lu Ming had lit 10 spiritual lamps at each level, and all of them had reached perfection. The thickness of his spiritual power was extremely shocking. It was even stronger and more profound than many 6th-level true inscription alchemists. It should be enough to control this puppet at the 4th level of the spiritual sea realm. Lu Ming flew up and sat cross-legged on the giant wolf puppet's back. The giant wolf puppet rose up and flew into the distance in the direction of the sacred mountain. Riding a puppet only required spiritual power, and its speed was greatly increased. He flew all the way, and soon, he had flown for tens of thousands of miles. From the map, he had already left the territory of the Sky Wolf tribe and entered another tribe, the Red Leopard tribe. Roar! Roar! Just as Lu Ming flew over a mountain range, roars came from all around the mountain range. Hundreds of figures flew into the sky and surrounded Lu Ming in the middle. These people were dressed very similar to the Sky Wolf tribe, wearing beast skins, but the puppets they rode were different. The puppets they rode were crimson cheetahs. They also had wings and could soar in the air. People of the Sky Wolf tribe? No, it's people from the outside world. At the front was a young man in his late 20s. He was burly and muscular, and his body emitted an explosive aura. He looked coldly at Lu Ming. Lu Ming frowned. He didn't notice that there was someone below. The other party should have used a formation to cover his aura. This person is actually riding a divine puppet of the Sky Wolf tribe. It seems that he must know the path of inscription. We have to be careful.
Beside the young man was a red-haired old man.
He's alone.
What's there to be afraid of?
The young man snorted. Chi Feng, the elders said that we should not attack these people from the outside world if we can. We still need their help. The old man said. Humph, I really don't understand why the elders are so polite to these people from the outside world. Just take them down and force them to go to the sacred mountain. Why bother? The young man said coldly, looking very domineering. The old man smiled bitterly and didn't say much. Instead, he looked at Lu Ming and said, Little brother, you're from the outside world, right? We don't mean any harm. We just want to ask you to return to the Red Leopard tribe with us. We need your help. Lu Ming frowned. He had heard the conversation just now, but how could he trust them? Get out of the way. I don't want to kill for no reason. Lu Ming said coldly. Kill? How arrogant. You're alone. Let's see how you're going to kill them. The young man's face darkened. Charge. Lu Ming didn't bother to talk nonsense. He controlled the giant wolf puppet and charged toward them. Roar. The giant wolf puppet roared. Its claws were like blades and tore forward. The terrifying power directly tore the cheetah puppets apart. It's a 4th-level divine puppet. Elder Chi Hong, you go and hold it back. The rest of you besiege it. If it continues to resist, just kill it. The young man said coldly. The old man was quite helpless. He could only control the puppet to charge forward and fight with Lu Ming. The old man's cheetah puppet was also equivalent to the 4th layer of the spiritual ocean tier. It was extremely powerful and fought with Lu Ming's giant wolf puppet. Sparks flew everywhere. The others used all kinds of arrows and inscription talismans to attack Lu Ming. Little brother, you're only a heaven-grade inscription master. Controlling a 4th-level divine puppet, you won't last long. I advise you to surrender. I promise that I won't hurt you. The old man said. But Lu Ming didn't say a word. He continuously punched out with both fists. The fist light of the exploding star fist made the air rumble as it blasted forward. Some of the weaker puppets were killed by Lu Ming together with the people. Chapter 701. For a moment, Lu Ming could not rush in. Inscription masters who have not reached level 7 can't inscribe arrays in the void. It's too disadvantageous.
However, with the strength of my spirit fire, I should be able to inscribe arrays in the void without reaching level 7.
Lu Ming thought as he fought.
Go to the ground.
With a thought, Lu Ming controlled the giant wolf puppet and rushed to the ground. The others tried to stop him. Dong, dong. Some of the puppets in front of Lu Ming were knocked away by the giant wolf puppet. Extreme Dao Strike. While still in mid-air, Lu Ming executed the Extreme Dao Strike. He turned into a ray of light and broke through everything. The few Martial King puppets in front of him directly exploded. Lu Ming stepped on the ground. Inscriptions appeared one after another on the ground. Clang, clang. The sound of swords rang out as 2 battle swords appeared. With a slash, several puppets were split in half. How can this be? He can control level 4 Divine Realm puppets and inscribe arrays? How can his spirit force be so powerful? The old man was shocked. Dong, dong. The giant wolf puppet knocked away a group of cheetah puppets and appeared beside Lu Ming. Lu Ming's footsteps became faster and faster. On the ground, inscriptions constantly flashed and various attacks were launched in all directions. Use inscription talisman scrolls to blast him.
The young man roared as he gave orders from the side.
Many people took out inscription talisman scrolls and opened them. All kinds of violent attacks poured down on Lu Ming. Lu Ming continued to step and layers of light screens were formed. However, with a shake, these light screens were shattered. After all, it was an inscription array that he had cast in an instant. Its power was limited and it could not block the attacks of some powerful inscription talisman scrolls. Now! Suddenly, there was a glint in Lu Ming's eyes.
He stomped heavily and a bright spear gleam shot toward the young man. Some of the puppets in front of the young man, as well as the people on the puppets, were either smashed or sent flying. At this moment, Lu Ming rode the giant wolf puppet and rushed towards the young man. His target was the young man. The young man seemed to have a high status. As long as he could take him down, he would have a bargaining chip to rush out. Not good. The old man's expression changed. He wanted to help, but it was too late. The young man's expression also changed. He quickly retreated and controlled the puppet under him to rush towards Lu Ming. At the same time, an inscription talisman scroll appeared in his hand. Pang! The young man's puppet had the strength of the first layer of the spiritual ocean tier, but with a slap from the giant wolf puppet, it was sent flying, almost exploding. 9 heavens! Lu Ming took a step forward and appeared beside the young man in an instant. Before the young man could open the inscription talisman, Lu Ming clawed at the young man's throat. Around them, the movements of the others stopped abruptly and stopped in the air. Kid, let me go. Otherwise, I'll make you die without a burial place. The young man roared, threatening Lu Ming. He was too aggrieved. At this moment, he was in the air with Lu Ming holding his vital point. He had the path of inscription but couldn't use it. Your life is in my hands and you still dare to threaten me. I only need to use a little strength and you're dead. A cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes, and his body emitted a cold killing intent. The young man only felt his body go cold, as if he would face death in the next moment. His heart trembled, and he didn't dare to say anything more. The giant wolf puppet flew over. Lu Ming carried the young man and stepped onto the giant wolf puppet's back. If you let me go, I'll naturally let him go. Lu Ming looked around. Okay, we'll let you go. The old man spoke without any hesitation. Thereafter, the crowd parted to create a path. Lu Ming controlled the puppet and flew out directly. Let Chi Feng go now. The old man said. Chi Feng was this young man. What's the hurry? I'll naturally let him go after I've flown a certain distance. Lu Ming controlled the giant wolf puppet to fly forward. After flying 100 miles, Lu Ming threw Chi Feng out and continued flying. Damn it! Chi Feng looked at Lu Ming's figure and growled, his eyes revealing a resentful light. Lu Ming flew all the way and soon flew a distance of 10,000 miles. Along the way, he didn't encounter any underground humans. 10,000 miles ahead, 2 red cheetah puppets were flying in the air. The 2 cheetah puppets were equivalent to the spiritual sea realm, and they were equivalent to the 4th layer of the spiritual sea realm. On one of the cheetah puppets was a young woman in her 20s. Her figure was curvaceous, and some of her important parts were wrapped in beast skin. Other parts of her body were exposed. Her skin was bronze. Although she wasn't extremely beautiful, she was full of wildness and had a different kind of beauty. On the other cheetah puppet was an old man. Miss, it's too dangerous for you to come out alone. Let's go back. The old man said. Elder Redbeard, it's fine. Don't worry. News came from Chi Feng just now. There's actually a young man from outside the earth. His path of inscription is incomparably exquisite. It's really interesting. Perhaps, he's the legendary destined person. I must find him. The young woman's eyes flickered as if she was very curious. Miss, the news said that the person's battle power is extremely strong and he's also controlling a 4th-level divine puppet. If we encounter him, I'm afraid it'll be dangerous. Let's go back to the group. Elder Redbeard continued to persuade. Don't worry, I'm not going to attack him. I just want to invite him back to our tribe. If I follow the group, I'll scare him away. How can I talk to him? How can I persuade him to go back to the tribe with me? The young woman didn't listen at all, her eyes looking around randomly. The old man sighed, knowing that he couldn't persuade this stubborn young lady. He could only follow closely beside her. Lu Ming sat cross-legged on the puppet and flew forward. Soon, he flew another 10,000 miles. At this time, he found that 2 cheetah puppets appeared in front of him. On the puppets, there was a young woman and an old man. They obviously saw him too. Found him, found him. The young woman cheered and controlled the puppet to fly toward Lu Ming at an extremely fast speed. Miss, be careful. The old man followed closely. Lu Ming frowned. He felt that the 2 puppets were not simple. He directly controlled the giant wolf puppet and flew in another direction. Hey, brother. Don't go. We don't have any bad intentions. Don't go. The young woman shouted and controlled the puppet to chase after Lu Ming. Lu Ming didn't say a word and continued to fly forward.
Brother, we really don't have any bad intentions. Stop and talk to me. I just want to invite you back to the tribe and do us a favor. We'll definitely treat you as a distinguished guest.
The young woman shouted and chased after him. In the blink of an eye, they flew tens of thousands of miles. During this time, Lu Ming changed directions several times, but the young woman and the old man still followed closely behind. They were all puppets at the 4th level of the spiritual ocean realm, and their speed was about the same. The young woman was like a dog skin plaster that couldn't be shaken off.
Chapter 702.
The young lady and the old man were startled, stopping in their tracks.
How long are you planning to follow me? Lu Ming snapped coldly. Brother, what are you afraid of? We don't have any bad intentions. I hope you don't misunderstand. You must be an outsider. Our tribe is only asking for your help. The young lady said. Not interested. Lu Ming turned around and was about to leave. Brother, now all the tribes are looking for you. If you leave our red leopard tribe, you will have to go to other tribes. Some tribes are very evil. If you come to our red leopard tribe and do us a favor, we will do our best to help you if you have any requests in the future. The young lady said. Lu Ming frowned and let out a smile. What's your name? What's your identity in the red leopard tribe?
I'm Qiyu, The young lady was interrupted by the old man as she was about to reveal her identity. Mistress, don't simply reveal your identity.
The old man said in a deep voice.
Don't worry, Elder Qiyu, it's fine.
Qiyu let out a smile and continued. I'm the daughter of the Red Leopard tribe's patriarch. If you follow me to the tribe, the Red Leopard tribe will surely treat you as a VIP. The daughter of the Red Leopard tribe's patriarch? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. His eyes flickered as he glanced at Qiyu and said, How can I trust you? How about this? You will follow me to the mountain range ahead. I have something to discuss with you. Lu Ming pointed at the mountain range ahead and said, No way, brother. Your request is too much. How can we trust you? Elder Qiyu yelled. If that's the case, there's no room for discussion. Don't follow me then.
Lu Ming waved his hand and was about to leave.
Wait, I'll go with you. Qiyu said. Mistress, no, it's too dangerous for you to go alone. Elder Qiyu objected. Don't worry, Elder Qiyu. I have no grudge against him. It won't do him any good if he kills me. Qiyu let out a smile and controlled the puppet to fly toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He did not expect that Qiyu would actually dare to step forward with him. Lu Ming controlled the giant wolf puppet and flew with Qiyu towards the mountain range. Elder Redbeard could only stand there anxiously. 100 miles away, the two landed in a mountain range. Lu Ming's figure flashed, and some of the nearby monitoring inscriptions were all destroyed by him. Previously, I heard that your inscription skills were profound. Now it seems that it's true. Qiyu looked at Lu Ming with bright eyes. Lu Ming turned around and looked at Qiyu with a smile on his face. In the next moment, he turned into a bolt of lightning and charged towards Qiyu. At the same time, the giant wolf puppet let out a low growl and charged towards Qiyu. Qiyu was shocked. She did not expect that Lu Ming would suddenly make a move. She could only control the cheetah puppet to block while her figure retreated rapidly. She waved her hands and inscribed inscriptions. The two puppets collided and fought with each other. Lu Ming stopped and stepped forward. Inscriptions appeared and formed a battle sword that slashed towards Qiyu. Qiyu's inscription was a giant red cheetah that flew out and pounced forward. Qiyu's Tao of inscription was also extremely profound. She had reached the 6th level and was a true inscription master. She probably had several 6th-level spirit lamps lit, and her strength was also very powerful. Both of them finished inscribing the array in an instant. However, in addition to the Tao of inscription, Lu Ming also had a powerful martial cultivation. Lu Ming pointed his finger and a ray of dazzling spear gleam pierced forward, aiming for Qiyu's throat. Qiyu was shocked and retreated again. However, as he retreated, the inscribing of the inscription was naturally interrupted. Lu Ming took a step forward and his figure suddenly appeared in front of Qiyu. He reached out and grabbed Qiyu's throat. At the same time, his other hand grabbed Qiyu's slender waist. Genuine qi poured in and sealed Qiyu's genuine qi. Qiyu also cultivated martial arts, but her martial arts were only auxiliary. She had only reached the first level of the Martial King realm. She was too far away from Lu Ming. Qi Yu's movements came to an abrupt halt. The cheetah puppet also stopped. Lu Ming also stopped the giant wolf puppet. Their actions looked rather ambiguous.
Brother, don't misunderstand. I really don't mean any harm.
Qi Yu shouted. She felt Lu Ming's hot aura behind her and her face turned slightly red. I know you don't mean any harm. Otherwise you would be dead by now. Lu Ming whispered into Qi Yu's ear. His hot breath on Qi Yu's neck caused her to feel strange. Indeed, Lu Ming did not sense any murderous intent from Qi Yu's body when he tried to kill her. If Qi Yu did have any murderous intent toward him, she would have shown it under such circumstances. What you said, is it true? If I go to your tribe with you, you won't restrict my freedom, right? Lu Ming asked. No, definitely not. Our elders have already sent a message to invite you back without any conflict. We won't use force to bring you back. After all, we need your help this time. Qi Yu said. Is it because of the Chosen One? Lu Ming asked. So you already know about it. That's right, it's because of that. Qi Yu nodded. So you will be going to the sacred mountain in a month's time? Yes, all the tribes will send people to worship their ancestors. This time, maybe someone among you will be able to awaken the ancient ancestor. Qi Yu said. Okay, I'll go to the Red Leopard tribe with you. Lu Ming loosened his hand and took a few steps back. Lu Ming asked Qi Yu to come over to test her. If what she said was true, there was no harm in going to the Red Leopard tribe with her. After all, it was too difficult for him to go to the sacred mountain alone and pass through so many tribes. It would be much easier if he went with the Red Leopard tribe. Really? That's great. Red Moon smiled happily. Then, he looked at Lu Ming curiously and said, Your inscription skills are amazing. Although you're only at the peak of the heaven tier, you can easily control a god tier puppet. At the same time, you can also inscribe an inscription array. I have never seen an inscription master as amazing as you. Heaven stage? God stage? Lu Ming was stunned. He had heard others talk about it before.
Was the division of realms in the underground world different from theirs?
After Qi Yu explained, Lu Ming understood. It turned out that the division of inscription in this world was indeed different from the outside world. It was divided into primary inscription master, yellow inscription master, profound stage, earth stage, heaven stage, and God stage. God stage was the highest. God stage corresponded to level 6 inscription master, but the God stage was the highest here. Could it be that the highest inscription master in the underground world could only reach level 6?
Lu Ming was very curious.
God stage is the highest level. For thousands of years, no one could break through the God stage and reach a higher level. It is said that the ancient ancestor must have surpassed the God stage by a lot. Qi Yu said with a yearning face. The two of them flew to the puppet respectively and returned to the original path while chatting. When Elder Qi Yu saw Qi Yu and Lu Ming returning safely, he was naturally very excited. Elder Qi Yu, this is Lu Ming. He is a very great inscription master. Chapter 703. Lu Ming and Elder Redbeard nodded to each other. Elder Redbeard, you go back to the tribe to report the news. Brother Lu and I will come later. Red Moon said to Elder Redbeard.
But Miss, Elder Redbeard was about to object, but when he saw Red Moon's big eyes, he knew that he could not persuade the stubborn Miss, so he had to go back to the tribe.
Lu Ming, I saw that you know a lot of inscriptions and inscription formations during the short fight with you just now, right?
Red Moon suddenly asked, with a glimmer of hope in her eyes.
Not bad, not bad. Lu Ming nodded. Boy, what do you mean by not bad? I've taught you all the inscriptions and inscription formations I've taught you. Who else in the world knows more inscriptions than me?
Dandan immediately yelled in displeasure.
A little turtle like you can actually talk? Red Moon was startled at first. Then she opened her eyes wide and looked at Dandan curiously. Of course I can talk. You can talk, so why can't I? You're so ignorant. Dandan curled its lips and looked at Red Moon disdainfully. Qi Yu's mouth formed an O shape as he stared blankly at Dandan, his eyes shining. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. During this period of time, Lu Ming discovered that there were also demonic beasts in this underground world. However, the demonic beasts had extremely low intelligence. The Martial King demonic beasts were slightly better than ordinary wild beasts. They could not speak at all. No wonder Red Moon was so surprised. Red Moon opened her eyes wide and looked at Dandan curiously. "Beauty, are you impressed by my spirit? Let me tell you, I'm the head of the top 10 fighting beasts. I'm invincible in the world and I'm the king of the universe. No one can defeat me." Dandan stood on Lu Ming's shoulder and put its 2 front paws on the turtle shell, looking like a peerless expert. But the next moment, Dandan collapsed. Red Moon reached out and grabbed Dandan's head and looked at it carefully. "This is infuriating." Dandan leaped out of Red Moon's hand and landed on Lu Ming's shoulder. It stared at Red Moon with wide eyes, as if it wanted to eat Red Moon alive. Qiyu laughed heartily and was very forthright. Then he looked at Lu Ming and said, "Lu Ming, if you know a lot of inscriptions and formations, you may be able to help our tribe a lot. At that time, the elders of our tribe will definitely treat you like an ancestor. They will definitely agree to whatever conditions you have." "Oh, what is it?" Lu Ming asked. "For this matter, we have to start from the current situation of our red leopard tribe." Qiyu and Lu Ming started talking about it. In the underground world, there was an endless war between the tribes. 60 years ago, the red leopard tribe was still an extremely powerful and prosperous tribe. The tribe produced many experts, possessed great strength, and occupied a large area of fertile land. At that time, the chief of the red leopard tribe was a well-known expert who had reached the peak of the divine level, which was the peak of level 6. But later, the chiefs of the Sky Wolf tribe, the Een Snake tribe, and the Blood Tiger tribe jointly attacked the chief of the red leopard tribe. In the end, they seriously injured the chief of the red leopard tribe and sealed him in a canyon. The chief of the red leopard tribe died in that canyon. Not only that, the chief of the red leopard tribe also carried the most exquisite inscription technique of the red leopard tribe, which was the foundation of the red leopard tribe. After losing the inscription technique, the following forces of the red leopard tribe became weaker and weaker. In the past 60 years, the territory occupied by the red leopard tribe was less than 20% of what it used to be. If it were not for the support of some elders, it would have been exterminated by the 3 tribes. As for the seal of the canyon, it was set up by the chiefs of the 3 tribes. It was incomparably complicated, and the inscription array was the unique array of the 3 tribes. Unless the chiefs of the 3 tribes worked together to break it, the red leopard tribe would not be able to break it. Therefore, when Red Moon saw that Lu Ming knew so many inscriptions and arrays, he wanted to let Lu Ming have a try. If Lu Ming could break the seal and take out the inscription technique of the red leopard tribe, then wouldn't the elders of the red leopard tribe worship Lu Ming as their ancestor? "All right, let's go and have a look." Lu Ming nodded. If he wanted to be valued by the other party, it would be best if he could give the other party a little favor. All right. Red Moon was overjoyed. He brought Lu Ming to the place where the previous chief of the red leopard tribe was sealed. According to Red Moon, that place was very close to the city of the red leopard tribe, only 100 miles away. That was a huge mountain range. There were huge peaks that pierced the sky, precipitous and majestic. Among them, there were 2 huge peaks that formed a canyon about 10 meters wide in the middle. This canyon was the place where the previous chief of the red leopard tribe was sealed. There were experts of the red leopard tribe guarding this place. As soon as Lu Ming and Red Moon arrived at the entrance of the canyon, they saw dozens of figures guarding the entrance. Red Moon, It's you? How dare you? Men, kill this person for me. They had just walked to the entrance of the canyon when they heard a loud shout. What are you doing? Stop. Red Moon shouted. The others who were about to make a move couldn't help but stop. A trace of a cold smile appeared at the corner of Lu Ming's mouth. The one who called for them to make a move just now was a young man. It was actually Qi Feng who was held hostage by him before. Qi Feng's eyes revealed killing intent as he stared at Lu Ming, then looked at Red Moon and said, "Red Moon, why are you protecting him? This person has killed many of my red leopard tribe's people. He deserves to die. He should be killed on the spot." Qi Feng, the elders have long said that we have to be polite to outsiders. We have to invite them and not attack them. You were the one who attacked first. Lu Ming naturally had to resist. This can't be blamed on him. Now that he is a guest of the red leopard tribe, you want to kill him. Are you trying to drive away all the outsiders? Cutting off the only chance for the red leopard tribe to rise? Red Moon was very domineering. She stared at Qi Feng and questioned loudly. Red Moon, I didn't mean that. Qi Feng's voice lowered. All right, Feng Er. Since the other party has come to the Red Leopard tribe, he is a guest of the Red Leopard tribe. You don't have to say any more.
At the side, a burly man with a long beard and about 50 years old walked over and said,
Sixth uncle. Red Moon called out. At the same time, she transmitted a message to Lu Ming. This person was Qi Feng's father, her sixth uncle, and also the person in charge of guarding this canyon, Qi Jin Mountain. You are. Why did you bring this little brother here? This is the forbidden area of the tribe. Qi Jin Mountain said. Sixth uncle, Lu Ming comes from the outside world. He is an extremely talented inscription master. He has mastered many inscriptions and formations, which are not available in our Red Leopard tribe. He might be able to break the seal here and take out the secret inscription book inside. So, I brought him here to have a try, Red Moon said. Hearing this, Qi Jin Mountain's face darkened. He said, this is the forbidden area of our Red Leopard tribe. How can we let an outsider break it? This is simply nonsense. All right, you guys leave quickly. Qi Jin Mountain waved his hand. Sixth uncle, taking out the secret inscription book of the Red Leopard tribe is related to the rise and fall of the Red Leopard tribe. It is very important. What's the harm in letting Lu Ming have a try? Maybe he can really break it? Chapter 704. Qi Jinshan's face turned gloomy. What a joke. The seal here. My Red Leopard tribe has been here for 60 years. Many god-level inscription masters have tried, but none of them could break it. He's just a brat, a heaven-level inscription master. How can he break the seal here? There's no such possibility. Leave quickly or else, I'll take it as him trespassing and suppress him. Sixth uncle, Lu Ming hasn't even tried. How do you know he can't? With our tribe's current situation, shouldn't we seize every opportunity? Qi Yu argued. Presumptuous. What does a junior know? Leave quickly. Qi Jinshan scolded. I think this seal can be broken. Suddenly, Lu Ming's voice came out, causing the scene to go silent. Everyone's gaze turned towards Lu Ming. Really? Qi Yu's eyes revealed a look of ecstasy. Of course. Lu Ming nodded his head. Boasting shamelessly, brat. What are your intentions? You want to destroy my Red Leopard tribe's forbidden area. I suspect you're using some evil technique to control Qi Yu. You have evil intentions, men. Kill this brat for me. Qi Jinshan's face was extremely gloomy. Killing intent burst out as he shouted. Yes. The guards at the valley entrance waved their hands, and cheetah puppets appeared on the ground. All of them were Sea of Spirit Realm puppets. The puppets roared, and were about to pounce towards Lu Ming. Who dares? Qi Yu shouted, blocking in front of Lu Ming, at the same time summoning her cheetah puppet. Miss Qi Yu is already being controlled by this evil person. She can't do anything. Quickly, kill that brat and save Miss. Qi Jinshan roared. Kill that brat for me. Qi Feng also roared, killing intent bursting out. Lu Ming's face was gloomy. With a wave of his hand, the giant wolf puppet appeared, blocking in front of him. It stepped on the ground, waving its hands, and lines of inscriptions appeared on the ground. A great battle was about to break out. Stop, what are you doing? At this moment, a loud roar came out. A white-haired old man riding a cheetah puppet flew over. Second uncle. Red Moon was overjoyed. The white-haired elder descended and swept his gaze across the scene. His face was gloomy as he said, What exactly is going on? Second brother, that brat is controlling you, He has ulterior motives. I was just about to kill him. Qi Jinshan hurriedly said. Nonsense. Second uncle, Lu Ming is an inscription master from the outside world. He can break the seal of the canyon, so I brought him here. I didn't think that sixth uncle would want to kill Lu Ming. Qi Yu argued. What? He can break the seal of the canyon? The white-haired elder's face was filled with shock, and his eyes shone brightly. Due to his excitement, a layer of blue spiritual fire appeared above his head, and a vast amount of spiritual energy filled the entire area. You don't be fooled by this person. He is just a heaven-level inscription master and he is so young. How many inscriptions can he master? How can he break this seal? This is utter nonsense. Qi Jinshan said coldly. Second uncle, why don't we let Lu Ming give it a try? What if it works?
This is related to the rise and fall of our clan. Please reconsider, second uncle.
Qi Yu said loudly.
Qi Yu's second uncle was called Qi Jintian. At this time, he looked at Lu Ming with a glimmer of hope in his eyes. He said, "Young man, can you really break the seal here?" Lu Ming nodded and said, "I have observed it just now. There are 3 different inscriptions in it. The inscription formations are intertwined. There should be more than 100 inscription formations. Although it is mysterious, it is not difficult to break it after 60 years. Lu Ming's words made Qi Yu and Qi Jintian's eyes shine brightly, but Qi Jinshan's face became gloomier. This is a serious matter. I need to inform the patriarch and the elders. Qi Jintian took out a voice-transmitting jade charm and sent a few messages. Then, he waited. Qi Jinshan knew that he could not stop it, so he walked aside with a gloomy face. Lu Ming glanced at Qi Jinshan, and his eyes flickered a few times. Qi Jinshan was very strange. He desperately tried to stop him from breaking the seal. As Qi Yu said, this was related to the rise and fall of the Red Leopard tribe. Even if there was a 1 in a million chance, he had to give it a try. But Qi Jinshan kept stopping him. It was impossible to say that it was because of Qi Feng. When he did not mention breaking the seal, Qi Jinshan was still normal. It seemed that he had the intention to break it. So all this made Lu Ming feel very strange. Whoosh, whoosh. In just a few minutes, the wind whistled, and 7 or 8 giant cheetah puppets flew over. There were 8 cheetah puppets in total, and each of them had a person standing on it. One of them was in his 50s and emitted a majestic aura. Lu Ming guessed that he might be Qi Yu's father, the patriarch of the Red Leopard tribe, Qi Jinkong. The other 7 were white-haired old men. They should be the elders of the Red Leopard tribe.
Greetings to the patriarch and elders.
Qi Jintian, Qi Jinshan and the guards all saluted together. Father, elders of the tribe.
Qi Yu also came forward and saluted. Qi Jinkong's eyes were like lightning.
He looked at Lu Ming and said, "Yuer, is he the person you mentioned who can break the seal?" Although Qi Jinkong pretended to be calm, he still showed a trace of excitement. "Yes, father. Lu Ming is from outside the earth. He is the most powerful inscriber there. Although he is at the peak of the heaven level, his mind power is as strong as the immortal level." Qi Yu came forward and held Qi Jinkong's arm with a smile. "The most talented inscriber there is?" Qi Jinkong and the 7 elders' eyes lit up. Lu Ming touched his nose and smiled bitterly. This girl was too good at bragging. "Haha, I think you've been fooled by him. According to the ancient legends, the world outside the earth is boundless. It is countless times bigger than here. There are countless people, like sand. How can he be the most talented inscriber? He must be bragging on purpose to deceive you that he is young. Patriarch, elders, you must not believe this person. If something goes wrong and causes the formation to explode, it will destroy the body of the previous patriarch and the inscription manual. Then our Red Leopard tribe will really be finished." Qi Jinshan jumped out to stop them. "Sixth uncle. You haven't seen Lu Ming fight. How do you know that his inscribing way is not strong?" Qi Yu said stubbornly. "In that case, why don't we let him show us? If he wants to have mind power comparable to a mortal level inscriber at the heaven level, he needs to light up at least 7 or even 8 spirit lamps at each level. Let him show us his spirit rings." Qi Jinshan sneered. The immortal level inscriber he was talking about was of course a real inscriber. At each level, he needed to light up at least 6 spirit lamps, which was already very difficult. He didn't believe that Lu Ming could light up 7 or even 8 spirit lamps at each level. "Humph, Lu Ming, show us your spirit rings." Chapter 705. Qi Jinkong, the 7 elders, and Qi Jintian turned to look at Lu Ming. Lu Ming shook his head in his heart. He had helped the Red Leopard tribe, but Qi Jinshan had stopped him. Given his character, he would have left long ago. The reason why he stayed was firstly because of Qi Yu. Secondly, at this point if he turned around and left, he would definitely not be valued by the Red Leopard tribe. He still wanted to make use of the Red Leopard tribe's strength to inquire about Xian Yanqing's whereabouts. "Since you want to see, open your eyes and watch carefully." Lu Ming's gaze swept toward the Qijin mountain. Bas! At the same time, a red ring appeared above Lu Ming's head. There were 10 points on the ring, which were as dazzling as stars. 10 spirit lamps.
He has lit 10 spirit lamps in the first stage. Qi Jin Kong, the 7 elders, and the rest of the crowd were astounded. Some of the elders even yelled out in shock. Qi Jinshan's eyes almost popped out. He opened his mouth so wide that he could swallow a dead mouse. He stared at Lu Ming in a daze. Lu Ming had lit 10 spirit lamps in the first stage and reached the perfect stage. Haha, I knew it. Lu Ming's talent is the best in the outer world. After Qi Yu recovered from his initial shock, he laughed heartily. Humph. It's only the first stage. Maybe he was lucky enough to obtain a powerful flame. That's why he could light up 10 spirit lamps in the first stage. There have been such cases in history. However, the later stages, the harder it is to light up the spirit lamps. Let's see how many he can light up later. Qi Jinshan said with a gloomy face. Father is right. Qi Feng chimed in. Oh, is that so? Then open your dog eyes wide and take a good look. There was a sneer at the corners of Lu Ming's lips. Immediately after, there was another flash of light above his head. This time, 2 rings appeared consecutively. One was orange and the other was yellow. The 2 rings were the same as the first one. They both had 10 bright spots, dazzling and mesmerizing. Everyone was stunned. Their eyes were wide open, and they were extremely shocked. The first 3 stages were all perfect, with 10 spirit lamps lit. This was simply too shocking. Qi Jinshan's face flushed red. Qi Feng was dumbfounded. Didn't they want to see it? As for Lu Ming, he would let him take a good look. Let's continue watching. The cold smile at the corner of Lu Ming's mouth deepened. In the next moment, 2 more rings appeared above his head. There were 2 rings, one green and one blue. On top of each ring, there were 10 bright spots. 5 rings stacked on top of each other. The 50 bright spots almost blinded Qi Jinshan's eyes. Perfect. All perfect. All 5 stages are perfect. Oh my God, what am I seeing? A miracle, a genius. This is the strongest genius this old man has ever seen. Yu was right. He is the #1 genius in the outer world. Several elders who were hundreds of years old could no longer control their emotions. They shouted one after another, their faces flushed with excitement. Qi Yu's mouth formed an O shape. She stood there in a daze. After a while, her eyes lit up. As for Qi Jinshan and Qi Feng, it was as if they had seen a ghost. They looked at Lu Ming, unable to say a word. Their lips were trembling non-stop. Lighting 10 spirit lamps in all 5 stages. This was simply a legend. In their world, they had never heard of such a genius. There was even a rumor in this world that 9 was the limit. It was impossible to be perfect. In other words, lighting 9 spirit lamps was the limit. Perfection was just a legend. It was a realm that was expected. But now, it had appeared in front of a young man in his 20s. My current mental strength should be enough, right? Lu Ming's gaze continued to fall on Qi Jinshan. Qi Jinshan's expression changed. He did not say a word. He could not speak. Good. Little brother Lu is indeed the #1 genius in the outer world. I believe that little brother Lu will be able to break the seal. Qi Jin Kong laughed with excitement in his eyes. That's right. Little brother, please come forward and check those inscription arrays to see how to break them. A white-haired elder said excitedly. Except for Qi Jin Kong and Qi Feng, everyone looked at Lu Ming expectantly. Perhaps, Lu Ming could really do it. Lu Ming nodded and walked forward. He came to the place full of inscriptions and looked at it carefully. Dandan, can you really break it? Lu Ming transmitted a message to Dandan. The seal here was made up of 3 different arrays. There were more than 100 of them. The 3 arrays were intertwined with each other. Moreover, they were all extremely advanced level 6 inscription arrays. The chiefs of the Sky Wolf tribe, the Shadow Snake tribe, and the Blood Tiger tribe who had set up the arrays were all level 6 inscriptionists. To be honest, with Lu Ming's current attainment in the path of inscription, it was still difficult for him to break it. The reason why he agreed was that Dandan had transmitted a message to him that it could break it. Nonsense. Don't you know who I am? I'm the head of the top 10 battle beasts. I've lived for countless years. I know astronomy and yin and yang. How can a mere level 6 inscription array be difficult for me? Dandan began to boast again. Of course, it transmitted a message and no one could hear it. Lu Ming was used to Dandan's boasting.
He directly ignored Dandan's boasting and said,
"Oh? How can I break it? Boy, listen to me. Start with the vertical 18 inscriptions of raging flame, then the horizontal 7 inscriptions of explosion." Dandan began to guide him. Blue flame spread out between Lu Ming's fingers and engraved in the air. Inscriptions appeared in different directions and flew into the ground at the entrance of the canyon.
Everyone in the Red Leopard tribe widened their eyes and stared at it.
Howl! Suddenly, a wolf howled. An array shone and condensed into a giant wolf, which pounced on Lu Ming. Everyone's heart skipped a beat. Qi Jinshan's eyes lit up. However, Lu Ming's expression was calm. He allowed the huge wolf to pounce on him. When the huge wolf pounced on Lu Ming, it exploded with a bang, turning into spots of light and dissipating. The first array was broken. The first array is broken. It's really broken. Qi Jin Kong and the 7 elders were all overjoyed. Dad, Grandpa, look. I was right. Lu Ming will definitely be able to do it. Qi Yu said with a smile. Yes, but this seal is made up of 136 arrays. The deeper you go, the harder it is to break. Let's see what happens later. Qi Jin Kong said. At the same time, Lu Ming continued to engrave inscriptions. The inscriptions flew into the ground one by one. After a while, a giant blood-red tiger pounced out and then dissipated. The second array was broken. Afterward, Lu Ming's fingers did not stop. He continued to inscribe inscriptions in the air. One array after another was cracked by Lu Ming. Chapter 706. The more excited Qi Jin Kong and the others were, the more they looked forward to it. Perhaps it would work this time. God bless. Ancient ancestor bless. They prayed in their hearts. Perhaps the ancient ancestor did not want the Red Leopard tribe to be destroyed, so he sent such a genius. The chosen one. At the same time, Qi Jin Kong and the other elders thought of this word. They looked at each other and became more excited and expectant. Phew! At this time, Lu Ming took a deep breath, sat cross-legged on the ground, and closed his eyes. After breaking 18 formations in a row, he did not have enough mind power and needed to recover. We will guard this place. No one is allowed to leave. Qi Jin Kong ordered. To prevent any accidents, they would guard this place personally. At this time, Qi Jinshan's face became gloomier and his eyes flashed with a strange light. Qi Feng looked at Lu Ming with jealousy in his eyes. There was nothing else. 3 hours later, Lu Ming got up and continued to crack the formations. However, from this point onwards, the array became more complicated and more difficult. Lu Ming's speed also slowed down a little. This time, Lu Ming spent more than an hour to crack 18 formations. Then, he sat cross-legged again and began to recover. A few hours later, Lu Ming got up again with a smile on his face. He found that cracking formations this way could make his mind power purer, and he could also train. He felt that he was getting closer and closer to becoming a 6th-level inscriptionist. Lu Ming continued to crack the formations, but the further he went, the slower he became. On the first day, Lu Ming cracked 50 inscription formations. On the second day, he cracked 30 inscription formations. On the third day, he cracked 20 inscription formations. There were 136 formations in total. Now, there were only 36 formations left. However, Lu Ming stopped when he reached the last 36th seat. He pondered for a while and then walked to Qi Jin Kong. Patriarch Qi, the next 36 inscription formations are mainly made by the Een Snake tribe. They are extremely vicious and unstable. If you are not careful, they will explode and destroy this valley. Lu Ming said. Qi Jin Kong's expression changed. He asked anxiously, "What should we do then?" "That's easy. Lu Ming needs a favor from clan leader Qi." Lu Ming said. "Brother Lu, please speak. Even if we mobilize the entire Red Leopard tribe, it won't be a problem." Qi Jin Kong's tone was firm. "It's not that serious. I just need some materials. I have a material here called Crimson Blood Sand. I need the Patriarch to send someone to refine it." A jade tablet appeared in Lu Ming's hand. It contained the refining method of the Scarlet Blood Sand and the required materials. He handed it over to Qi Jin Kong. Qi Jin Kong glanced at it and said, "Not a problem, but I'm afraid it'll take me 6 to 7 days to refine it." "Don't worry, Patriarch Qi. Is there a place where poisonous snakes gather nearby?" I will personally hunt some poisonous snakes and take their essence blood to refine another material. Only by combining these two materials can we break the last 36 formations. Lu Ming said. A place where venomous snakes gather? To the west of the Red Leopard tribe, there's 1,000 Snakes Valley. There are a large number of poisonous snakes there, but that's already the territory of the Shadow Snake tribe. Qi Jinkong said. Don't worry, I just need to sneak there and hunt some poisonous snakes. Lu Ming smiled. That's great. Brother Lu, you've been working hard for the past few days to break the formations. Let's take a rest at the Red Leopard tribe and then prepare the materials. Although Qi Jinkong was quite anxious and excited, he still spoke politely to Lu Ming. Lu Ming was now the hope of the Red Leopard tribe. Sure. Lu Ming nodded. Qi Jinkong left a few elders to guard the place while he and the rest of the elders brought Lu Ming and Qi Yu to the Red Leopard tribe. Lu Ming, you haven't been to our tribe, right? Let me show you around. What's it like in the outer world? Your skin is so white and smooth. Also, the clothes you're wearing are strange too. Along the way, Red Moon followed Lu Ming, chattering non-stop and asking a lot of questions. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. He couldn't help but think of a girl, Xian Xian. At that time, Xian Xian was also very curious. She kept asking about it non-stop. Lu Ming explained casually. Soon, they arrived at the ancient city. It was a stone city. The buildings inside were all made of stone. The stone city was bustling with people. It was different from the cities Lu Ming had seen before. It was full of exotic charm. When he arrived, Lu Ming's heart suddenly stirred. He asked, Clan leader Qi, during this period of time, did anyone from the outside world like me come here? Yes, there are about 100 people. They're all living in the main hall in the west. We didn't restrict their movements. Qi Jinkong explained. Can you show me? Lu Ming asked. He wanted to see if there were any familiar faces. Maybe Xian Yanqing was here too? Of course. I'll go back and order people to prepare the red blood sand. Third uncle, Yu bring little brother Lu to the main hall in the west. Qi Jinkong instructed. Yes, father. Qi Yu smiled. She was accompanied by a white-haired old man. They led Lu Ming to the main hall in the west. Along the way, many people looked at Lu Ming curiously. During this period of time, many people from beyond the earth had come. The news had spread like wildfire, and they were all very curious. There was a huge stone hall in the west. There were many stone houses in it. During this period, there were more than 100 people living here. They were all from the chaotic astral ocean. Zhong Yuan was in a bad mood during this period. He was the sect leader of the blood poison sect. He thought that with the key to the martial emperor's treasure, he would get a great opportunity. The blood poison sect would soar and he would be able to break through and reach the supreme realm. He didn't expect that all his plans would be ruined by Lu Ming, causing countless people to rush into the martial emperor's treasure. Not only that, after entering the martial emperor's treasure, he didn't get anything. Instead, he was chased everywhere. In the end, he had no choice but to follow the people of the Red Leopard tribe to the Red Leopard tribe. At this moment, he was sitting in the courtyard with two experts in the third layer of the spiritual sea realm. They were drinking and chatting. Brother Zhong, according to my speculation, the Saint Mountain in the underground world is very likely to be related to the martial emperor's treasure. This time, we have to work together. An old man in the third layer of the spiritual sea realm said. That's right, and I speculate that there should be a way out of the Saint Mountain. At that time, we can leave this damn place. The other martial artist in the third layer of the spiritual sea realm said. I hope so. Zhong Yuan drank a cup of wine. His eyes flickered as he thought about something. Creak. At this moment, the door opened. Lu Ming and the others walked in. The people in the courtyard also looked at the door. Chapter 707. Upon hearing the voice, Lu Ming looked in the direction of the voice. There was a strong murderous intent in his eyes. Blood poison sect leader. A cold voice came from Lu Ming's mouth. The white-haired old man in front of him was the blood poison sect leader, the one who injured him and wanted to steal his jade sword. He didn't expect to meet him here. Ha ha ha, little bastard. I said before that if I meet you, I'll kill you. Your luck is really bad to meet me here. Let's see how you'll die this time. Zhong Yuan laughed loudly and stood up from the table.
emitting a terrifying aura. A fourth-layer spiritual ocean tier martial artist was too strong, much stronger than a third-layer spiritual ocean tier martial artist. His aura was like a vast ocean, suppressing Lu Ming. Dong, dong. Zhong Yuan stepped forward, causing the ground to rumble with every step he took. What do you want? Qi Yu stepped forward, blocking Lu Ming. Her face turned cold as she glared at Zhong Yuan. So it's Miss Qi Yu. Miss Qi Yu, please step aside. This person has a grudge with me, and I'll kill him. Zhong Yuan said coldly. No, this is the Red Leopard tribe. Fighting is not allowed. Qi Yu said coldly. Miss Qi Yu, you'd better step aside. This time, I agreed to go to the sacred mountain and participate in the test. But if I don't kill this person, don't blame me for not doing my best during the test. Zhong Yuan sneered. Anyone could hear that this was a threat. Among the 100 or so outsiders who came to the Red Leopard tribe, Zhong Yuan was the strongest, at the fourth-layer spiritual ocean tier. He was the most promising participant in the Red Leopard tribe's test. These few days, the people of the Red Leopard tribe were all polite to him, treating him as an honored guest. Naturally, he had the confidence. I want him to die. At this moment, Lu Ming spoke. Hearing Lu Ming's words, Zhong Yuan was stunned for a moment, then laughed loudly. The other two third-layer spiritual ocean tier elders also laughed. Haha, this kid is a peak king. Has he lost his mind? He actually wants Brother Zhong to die. Where did he get his confidence from? Did he say that to Miss Qi Yu and the others? That's even more ridiculous. Does he think he's more important than Brother Zhong? Young people can't recognize themselves. How pitiful, how sad. The two old men in the third layer of the spiritual ocean tier laughed loudly, full of mockery. But in the next moment, their smiles froze. Because Qi Yu looked at Lu Ming and asked, Are you serious? Yes. I must kill him. Lu Ming was resolute and decisive. All right, if little brother Lu wants to kill him, I'll do it. At the side, the Red Leopard elder spoke. With a wave of his hand, a gigantic leopard puppet appeared, emitting a terrifying aura. 7th level of Sea of Souls realm. This cheetah had the aura of a 7th level Sea of Souls realm warrior. That kind of aura was so powerful that it made people's hearts palpitate and despair. Zhong Yuan was completely dumbfounded. He looked at the Red Leopard elder with a pale face and screamed. What are you doing? This kid is only a martial king. I'm many times stronger than him. I have a chance at the Sacred Mountain trial. You should kill him, kill him. Little brother Lu is the benefactor of my Red Leopard tribe. What did he say? My Red Leopard tribe will do our best to satisfy him. Whoever he wants to kill, we'll kill. Now die. The Red Leopard elder shouted coldly. The cheetah puppet roared and pounced at Zhong Yuan at an unimaginable speed. No, how can this be? I can't accept this. Zhong Yuan roared hysterically, resisting with all his might. But the difference between a puppet in the 4th layer of the spiritual ocean tier and a puppet in the 7th layer was too great. The cheetah puppet clawed out, tearing apart all of Zhong Yuan's defenses and attacks. Then, it tore his body into 2 halves. The blood poison sect master, an almighty in the 4th layer of the spiritual ocean tier, an expert whose might shook the chaotic astral ocean, was full of ambition, and died just like that. He died with incomparable grievance. He didn't even know why he died. Why did the Red Leopard tribe listen to Lu Ming's every word? The 2 old men in the 3rd layer of the spiritual ocean tier watched this scene dumbfoundedly, almost biting off their own tongues. Then they trembled as they looked at Lu Ming, cold sweat dripping down their backs. The Red Leopard tribe actually listened to Lu Ming's every word. Lu Ming's one word, and an elder of the Red Leopard tribe attacked, killing Zhong Yuan in one move. What was going on? They'd both lived for more than 1,000 years, but now, they found that their brains couldn't process the situation at all. Lu Ming strode forward, reached out his hand, and grabbed Zhong Yuan's storage ring in his hand. He also swallowed Zhong Yuan's blood essence while he was at it. Then, he looked at the 2 old men in the spiritual ocean tier and said coldly, You've lived for more than 1,000 years, but can't even understand the situation. Pitiful. Lamentable. The 2 old men's faces were flushed red, unable to show their faces. These were the words they'd said to Lu Ming just now, but how long had it been? And Lu Ming had returned the exact same words to them. Every word was like a slap to their faces. Lu Ming ignored them. Under Qi Yu's lead, he checked the place.
Unfortunately, Xian Yanqing wasn't here, and neither was Kenfei Ryu. Miss Qiyu, I need a room. I need to go into seclusion for a while, Lu Ming said. Zhong Yuan was in the 4th layer of the spiritual ocean tier, and his blood essence was too strong. He needed to go into seclusion to refine it. No problem. Qi Yu brought Lu Ming to the core area of the Red Leopard tribe and arranged a room for him. Lu Ming entered the room and entered the Temple of Paragon, beginning to refine the blood essence. He used all of his blood essence to improve the Suppressing Prison Monument bloodline. The stronger the Suppressing Prison Monument bloodline, the more powerful the Suppressing Prison Heaven skill would be. The 9th silver chakra became brighter and brighter, and finally, like the other 9 chakras, it shone brightly. The peak of the 9th grade king stage. However, at the peak of the 9th level king level, it was too difficult to attain divine level bloodline. After Lu Ming refined all of Zhong Yuan's blood essence, he had a feeling that he was still a long way from attaining divine level. He didn't know how much more blood essence he needed to reach the divine grade. Half a day had passed, and Lu Ming walked out of the room. Lu Ming, you're done with your seclusion? Lu Ming saw Qi Yu as soon as he came out. Lu Ming nodded and said, You've been waiting for me? Not really. I just arrived. Do you want to walk around? Qi Yu said. No, I'll go to the 1,000 Snake Valley to hunt poisonous snakes. How do I get there? Lu Ming shook his head and said, I'll take you there. That's the Shadow Snake Tribe's territory. If there are too many people, it'll attract their attention. How about just the 2 of us go? Qi Yu said. All right. Lu Ming nodded. The 2 of them left the Stone City and headed west. The 1,000 Snake Valley was 30,000 miles west of the Red Leopard tribe. This was the Shadow Snake Tribe's territory. It was said that this was the Red Leopard tribe's territory a few decades ago. Later, the Red Leopard tribe lost a large area of land, and the 1,000 Snake Valley fell into the hands of the Shadow Snake Tribe. The 2 of them rode on the puppet, and arrived in less than half a day. Chapter 708. The vast mountains stretched as far as the eye could see. Between the vast mountains, there was a huge valley. The valley was about 100 miles long, and it was quiet all around. This was the 10,000 Snakes Valley. There were all kinds of poisonous snakes in the valley, tens of thousands of them. Other demonic beasts did not dare to come close to this place, so it was very quiet. The wind whistled as Lu Ming and Qi Yu descended from the sky on the cheetah puppet and landed at the entrance of the 10,000 Snakes Valley. The 2 of them put away the puppet and walked into the 10,000 Snakes Valley. Swoosh, swoosh. Before they had gone far, a black venomous snake shot towards the 2 of them like a bolt of black lightning. Bang! Qi Yu lightly stepped on the ground, and inscriptions appeared on the ground, forming a large inscription array. Dozens of arrows shot out from the inscription array and shot towards the black figures. With a light sound, those black snakes were accurately shot and were sent flying in all directions. The 2 of them continued forward. The valley was very wide, at least 10 miles long. It was covered with dense weeds, all kinds of old vines, low ancient trees, and piles of rocks. In some places, there were even swamps that were full of stench. Such an environment was most suitable for poisonous snakes to breed. As they moved forward, they encountered many poisonous snakes. However, these poisonous snakes were all below LV5, which was equivalent to the martial ancestor realm. Whether it was Lu Ming or Qi Yu, they were easily dealt with. Moreover, the blood essence of these poisonous snakes was useless. Lu Ming needed the blood essence of Martial King level poisonous snakes. When the 2 of them walked for more than 20 miles, the level of the poisonous snakes began to increase. Hiss hiss. A colorful poisonous snake slithered towards Lu Ming. The snake's forked tongue stretched out, and wisps of poisonous fog filled the air. King-level poisonous snake, I finally see one. A smile appeared on Lu Ming's face. He stepped forward and stretched out his hand. This poisonous snake did not have the slightest strength to resist and was caught in Lu Ming's hand. With a jolt of his true essence, the poisonous snake turned into ashes at a speed visible to the naked eye. In Lu Ming's palm, there were only 9 drops of blood essence rolling around each other like blood-red pearls. Swoosh, swoosh. Then, Lu Ming suspended the 9 drops of blood essence in the air. His hands quickly inscribed inscriptions into the 9 drops of blood essence. After a while, the 9 drops of blood essence exploded with a bang, turning into a cloud of blood mist that filled the air. It's done. Lu Ming smiled faintly. He then took out a jade bottle and absorbed all the blood mist into the jade bottle. He wanted to use the snake's blood essence to refine the blood mist and use it together with the crimson blood sand to break the last 36 formations. This was also the reason why his inscription level was not high enough. If he had become a level 6 inscription master and mastered some level 6 inscriptions and level 6 arrays, he would not have needed to use these materials to break the 36 arrays. 60 to 70,000 li away from the 10,000 Snake Valley was another large tribe, the Een Snake Tribe. The Shadow Snake Tribe was very powerful. In the past few decades, they had annexed many of the Red Leopard Tribe's territories. Their strength had increased rapidly. The Red Leopard Tribe could not be compared to them. In the ancient city of the Shadow Snake Tribe, Xian Yanqing looked into the distance from a pavilion made of huge rocks. Her eyebrows were tightly knitted. She didn't come to the Shadow Snake Tribe of her own accord. She was captured. Now, on her wrists and ankles, there was a ring. This ring was like a snake coiled around her body, and there were complex inscriptions carved on it. This ring had the power to seal. It sealed Xian Yanqing's true qi and even her inscription flame. She could not use any of her cultivation. Otherwise, she would have escaped long ago. Creak. The door of the room was opened. A young man walked in. This young man was tall and slender. He was handsome, but his eyes were long and narrow. He gave people a very gloomy feeling. As soon as he walked in, the young man's gaze wandered around Xian Yanqing's body. Traces of burning flames flashed in his eyes. It was a strong desire to possess her. "What are you doing here again?" Xian Yanqing frowned. "Miss Xie, what do you think? Marry me. I won't let you lose out." The young man smiled slightly. It seemed even more gloomy. "Get lost!" Xian Yanqing shouted coldly. She was not polite at all. The young man's face turned cold. He said, "Miss Xie, don't forget where you are. I'm trying to persuade you. Don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Get lost." Xian Yanqing's reply was still one word. "Good, good, very good. Let's wait and see." In the young man's eyes, evil flames flashed. They wandered around Xian Yanqing's body a few times. Then, he strode away. "This bitch, I want you to kneel in front of me and beg me this morning." The young man's heart was burning with anger. Who was he? The son of the Shadow Snake Tribe's patriarch, the future successor of the Shadow Snake Tribe, in Quebec. He had great talent. What couldn't he get? But a few days ago, when he saw Xian Yanqing, he was stunned. Xian Yanqing was too beautiful. Moreover, she was completely different from the women in the underground world. Most of the women in the underground world were more boorish. Their skin was bronze and slightly rough. But Xian Yanqing had jade-like skin and a graceful figure. He was immediately attracted. He captured Xian Yanqing and wanted to make Xian Yanqing his 18th concubine. But with Xian Yanqing's character, the result was obvious. How could she agree? Yin Ke walked in the courtyard with a gloomy face. "Young master, what's wrong? That woman hasn't agreed?" A skinny old man walked up and asked. "That's right. This bitch not only didn't agree, but also told me to get lost." "Old Kue, what can you do?" Yin Ke asked. "Young master, since she doesn't want to do it the hard way, then let's do it the hard way. What's done can't be undone." The skinny old man sneered. "Old Kue, I also thought about it. But even if her true yuan and spirit fire are sealed, her physical strength is still very strong. I'm afraid that if we use force, she will commit suicide. Otherwise, I would have done it long ago." Yin Ke said. Whenever he thought of Xian Yanqing's graceful figure, an evil fire would burn in his body. "Young master, this is easy. Right now is the breeding season for poisonous snakes. In the Thousand Snake Valley, the Snake Desires flower is in full bloom. The fragrance of the Snake Desires flower has no effect on those who have true yuan or spiritual fire. However, if one does not have true yuan or spiritual fire to protect their body, the moment they smell the fragrance of the Snake Desires flower, their entire body will go limp and they will lose all strength. At that time, young master will be able to do whatever you want." The skinny old man smiled sinisterly. Yin Ke's eyes lit up. Then he laughed and said, "Old Kue is indeed resourceful. All right, let's do it this way. Old Kue, take a few people with you and use the excuse of going hunting to relax. Take that bitch and follow me to the Thousand Snake Valley. This time, I want to make that bitch wish she was dead. All right, I'll do it right away. Old Xueqi bowed. Chapter 709. Xian Yanqing didn't want to go at first, but the other party welcomed her with a smile and said that he was only taking her hunting to relieve her boredom. Xian Yanqing couldn't refuse. If she refused, she was afraid that the other party would use force. Not long after, they arrived at the Thousand Snake Valley. The 9 of them walked in. In the beginning, they were indeed hunting poisonous snakes to concoct some medicine. Soon, they were more than 30 miles away from the valley. You guys hunt poisonous snakes in this area. I'll bring Miss Xian Yanqing to the front to take a look. Xueqi instructed. All right, young master. You guys go ahead. Elder Xueqi said with a smile. There was a hint of eeriness in his smile. Miss Xie, let's continue forward. Xueqi said to Xian Yanqing. Xian Yanqing frowned. She had a bad feeling in her heart, but given the current situation, she could only agree. She made up her mind that if Xueqi had any ill intentions toward her, she would rather die than let him have his way. Xian Yanqing nodded and followed Xueqi into the valley. Soon, the 2 of them walked another 5 or 6 miles. This place was filled with red flowers. These flowers were very strange. They were in the shape of snakes, like small snakes. Furthermore, they emitted an intoxicating fragrance. It was very pleasant to the smell. Along the way, Xueqi didn't do anything strange. Xian Yanqing gradually relaxed and walked slowly. However, Xian Yanqing gradually felt that something was wrong. She felt her body getting weaker and weaker. She was smart. She suddenly thought of something and her face turned pale. She ran a few steps forward and said, Xueqi, what did you do to me? Did you use poison on me? Hee. When Xueqi saw that Xian Yanqing's body was indeed weak, he laughed sinisterly and said, I didn't poison you, but this place is full of snake desire flowers. The pollen of snake desire flowers is equivalent to poison for people who can't use spiritual flame and spiritual origin. Anyone who smells it will feel weak all over. Ha ha ha. Xueqi laughed. What are you trying to do? Xian Yanqing kept retreating. She felt more and more weak. Hee, what are you doing? Bitch, I don't care what status you have outside the underworld. Here, you better behave yourself. I want to marry you as a concubine because I think highly of you. You actually rejected me time and time again and even dared to scold me. Now, I'll let you know the consequences of rejecting me. Evil flames danced in Xueqi's eyes as his gaze wandered around Xian Yanqing's body. The flames in his eyes grew stronger and stronger. In your dreams, Xian Yanqing shouted. Her spine suddenly emitted a red glow. Immediately after, her body dashed forward, rushing towards the depths of the 10,000 Snakes Valley. Damn it! Xueqi angrily shouted. He hadn't expected that Xian Yanqing's Zhan Yuan and spiritual fire would be sealed, but he was still able to display such a strange power. In a moment of carelessness, Xian Yanqing had run 100 meters away. Immediately, he chased after her with extreme speed. Xian Yanqing's Zhan Yuan and spiritual fire were sealed. Her body was special, so she could borrow some of the power of her bloodline. However, it wasn't much. Before she could run a mile, the power of her bloodline dissipated. She felt her body grow weaker and weaker. She staggered and almost fell to the ground. Xueqi chased after her from behind. Hee, let's see where you can run to. Wait a moment, I'll serve you well. After running for a while, Xian Yanqing was drenched in sweat. Her thin clothes were wet, causing them to stick tightly to her body. Her curves were even more soul-stirring. Xueqi's evil flames erupted. His entire body was hot and he couldn't help but swallow his saliva. Xian Yanqing's eyes revealed a trace of despair. She touched her waist and a small dagger appeared in her hand. She pressed it against her chest and looked at Xueqi resolutely. If you want to use force, I'll die. Xueqi stopped in his tracks. His face was gloomy as he coldly said, I don't believe that you'll throw away your life. After saying that, he strode forward. Lu Ming, you idiot. Where are you? Perhaps we won't be able to meet again. Xian Yanqing closed her eyes and stabbed the dagger in her hand into her chest. In the depths of the Thousand Snake Valley, Lu Ming took out a jade bottle and collected a cloud of blood mist. Then he frowned. He didn't know why, but he had been feeling uneasy since just now. An inexplicable feeling of irritation appeared in his heart. This was somewhat inconceivable. At Lu Ming's current level, his martial heart was stable. Ordinary things wouldn't make Lu Ming feel irritable. However, he had been feeling inexplicably irritable since just now. He didn't know why. "Kid, what's wrong with you? You're not in the right state." Dandan saw Lu Ming's state. "I don't know why, but I've been feeling inexplicably irritable since just now. I keep feeling uneasy." Lu Ming said. "Inexplicably irritable and uneasy?" The deeper a martial artist's cultivation base is, the more they'll be connected to the laws of the unseen world. Therefore, any emotion won't be born without a reason. "Something must be happening," Dandan said. Lu Ming nodded. In ancient times, there were some supreme experts who could even foresee some parts of the future. It was mysterious and unfathomable. "Wait a moment." Dandan closed its eyes and waved its pair of front claws. Inscriptions were produced. After a while, Dandan suddenly opened its eyes and said anxiously, "Not good, kid. Your little lover is in danger." "What?" Lu Ming was stunned, but he immediately reacted. Dandan was talking about Xian Yanqing. "Little Qing, what's wrong with her? Where is she?" Lu Ming asked hurriedly. "Just a few miles away. Go quickly. It'll be too late if you don't," Dandan shouted. Whoosh! Without the slightest hesitation, Lu Ming burst out. His figure was like a bolt of lightning as he rushed out of the myriad snakes. Qi Yu's eyes moved. Inscriptions appeared on her body and formed a pair of wings. With a flap, she turned into a phantom and followed. Under Lu Ming's full strength, a few miles of distance only took a few breaths. When Lu Ming arrived, he was just in time to see Xian Yanqing's dagger stabbing at her heart. Blood flowed out. It was a shocking sight. Boom! At this moment, it was as if thunder had exploded in Lu Ming's mind. With just a glance at such a scene, he roughly knew what was going on. "Little Qing!" Lu Ming roared. His figure pounced at Xian Yanqing like a bolt of lightning. His true essence rolled up and wrapped around Xian Yanqing's arm, preventing her dagger from continuing to stab. However, Lu Ming was still a little slower. Xian Yanqing's dagger had already pierced through his flesh. A part of it had already pierced his heart. Fortunately, it wasn't too deep. Lu Ming hugged Xian Yanqing's slender waist. His true essence crazily poured into Xian Yanqing's body to protect Xian Yanqing's heart. "Fool, you're here. I thought I'd never see you again." Xian Yanqing blinked her big eyes and stared at Lu Ming in a daze. She was afraid that all this was a dream. "Don't speak," Lu Ming said. His true essence continued to pour in. His true essence was the Battle Dragon True Essence. It had a strong vitality and successfully sealed Xian Yanqing's heart. At the same time, Xian Yanqing's wound was slowly healing. Chapter 710. Lu Ming's appearance stunned Quebec. Seeing how close Xian Yanqing and Lu Ming were, Kei's eyes were filled with jealousy. He shouted coldly, "Kid, who are you?" "She's my woman. Get out of my way." Whoosh! At this moment, Qi Yu arrived. "Qi Yu, it's you? How dare you trespass into the Snake tribe's territory? You're courting death." Kei's eyes were filled with murderous intent when he saw Qi Yu. Kei. Qi Yu's face darkened when he saw Quebec. Lu Ming raised his head and looked at Quebec. A violent murderous intent erupted from his body. A cold voice came from Lu Ming's mouth. "Today, you must die." "Haha, kid, you want to kill me? Brat, just because you dare to hug my woman, I will definitely make you beg for death." Kei sneered. "Kill." Lu Ming waved his hand and a giant wolf puppet appeared, pouncing towards Quebec, 4th level Divine Realm puppet. Kei's face changed slightly. He waved his hand and a giant snake puppet appeared. It was also a 4th level Spiritual Ocean puppet. The two puppets collided with one another and fought fiercely. "Kill." Lu Ming held Xian Yanqing with one hand and took a big step forward. A terrifying fist aura exploded forward. Wherever the fist aura passed, the valley shook. As the fist aura passed by, the old vines around the valley exploded and some poisonous snakes turned into powder. Kei's face changed. A scroll appeared in his hand. After he opened it, a light shield appeared and covered Quebec. On the light shield, there were a few poisonous snakes swimming around. Boom! The fist aura landed on the light shield. The light shield kept shaking, but it wasn't broken. Instead, it sent Xueqi flying. Damn it, kill! Xueqi landed on the ground and took out another scroll. As soon as he opened it, a giant snake that was dozens of meters long flew out and pounced towards Lu Ming. The infinite dragon spear appeared in his hand, and with a thrust, a three-colored true dragon flew out and clashed with the giant snake. However, the tricolor true dragon was actually smashed apart by the giant snake and continued to fly towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming's expression changed slightly. This was obviously Lu Ji's inscription scroll. Its power was equivalent to the attack power of the fourth layer of the spiritual C tier. Roar! Qiyu controlled the cheetah puppet and pounced forward, colliding with the giant snake. Whoosh! Whoosh! The sound of something flying through the air rang out. Old Xueqi had arrived with the other 6 people. Elder Xueqi, kill! Kill that brat! Capture Qiyu and that little bitch alive! Xueqi shouted. Wang! Bas! Above Elder Xueqi's and the others' heads, powerful spiritual energy spread out and formed a terrifying spiritual energy storm. Giant snake puppets appeared in the air. Not good. That's a Tier 5 divine level inscriber. Lu Ming. Let's leave quickly. Qiyu's expression changed drastically. Elder Xueqi was an inscription master equivalent to a 5th level spiritual sea realm cultivator. He had lit at least 4 blue spirit lamps. His puppet was also equivalent to a 5th level spiritual sea realm cultivator. Qiyu, help me take care of Xueqi. Today I must kill him. Lu Ming put down Xian Yanqing and pointed his spear at Quebec. At this moment, Xian Yanqing was already fine and stood behind Lu Ming. Haha, brat, you can't even protect yourself, and you still want to kill me? You're really dreaming. I've changed my mind now. Elder Xueqi, capture him alive. I want him to suffer a fate worse than death. Xueqi laughed loudly, his expression extremely ferocious. Hiss! Elder Xueqi controlled the giant snake puppet and pounced towards Lu Ming. The snake's tongue was like a sword, piercing through the void. Qiyu clenched his teeth and controlled the cheetah puppet to charge forward. However, before he could exchange 2 blows with the giant snake puppet, he was sent flying by the giant snake puppet. In addition, the other 6 people were also extremely powerful. The puppets they controlled were at least at the spiritual sea realm. There were even 2 giant snake puppets that were equivalent to a 4th level spiritual sea realm cultivator. Qiyu's puppet was entangled by a 4th level spiritual sea realm giant snake puppet, while the other giant snake puppets charged towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming's glabella shone, with traces of lightning swimming around. He was prepared to control the thunder cauldron to deliver a fatal blow. Stomp! Stomp! Lu Ming controlled the giant wolf puppet to block in front of him. At the same time, he stomped on the ground crazily. Yeah, watch me. Dandan landed on the ground and waved its claws non-stop. Ayo! The gigantic wolf puppet was entangled by a gigantic snake. It kept howling, and sparks flew everywhere. That gigantic snake was Old Xueqi's puppet, and it was too strong. The gigantic wolf puppet kept exploding, and a series of banging sounds rang out. In the end, the giant wolf puppet was completely destroyed and turned into a pile of scrap metal. Kill! Lu Ming shouted. The inscription array appeared and formed a giant bow. An arrow shot towards Xueqi like a meteor. Watch me! Dandan waved her claws and countless inscriptions appeared. Countless vines appeared and wrapped around the 5 or 6 giant snake puppets, binding them tightly. Xueqi's expression changed. He took out another inscription scroll. After opening it, a battle sword flew out and slashed at Lu Ming's arrow. Kill! Let's use the inscription scroll together and kill that kid. Elder Xueqi shouted coldly. An inscription scroll appeared in his hand. The others also had inscription scrolls in their hands. As soon as it was opened, all kinds of attacks poured towards Lu Ming. There were swords, sabers, ice, storms, etc. All of them were equivalent to the spiritual sea realm and above. Some of them were even at the 4th layer of the spiritual sea realm and above. They were too strong. Lu Ming couldn't block them at all. He would be turned into ashes in an instant. Lu Ming! Xian Yanqing and Qiyu exclaimed. Die! Lu Ming's eyes were cold. Suddenly, a bright light spread out from his eyebrows. A giant cauldron flew out and lightning filled the air. The moment the cauldron flew out, Lu Ming's true origin was instantly absorbed. Even his life essence was sucked away. Using it once would cost him 50 years of life. But Lu Ming didn't care. Today he must kill in Quebec. The thunder cauldron grew rapidly.
Its terrifying power was vast and mighty, as if it could destroy the heavens and the earth.
At this moment, everyone felt the fear of facing the heavens. Retreat! Retreat! Elder Kuei's pupils shrank rapidly as he frantically retreated. Not only him, but everyone else frantically retreated. At the same time, the inscription scrolls appeared and a light screen enveloped their bodies. Especially in Quebec. He opened the inscription scrolls as if they were free. At least 7 light screens enveloped his body. Boom! The thunder cauldron descended and pressed down. Endless power of lightning descended, destroying all life. Pang! Pang! Except for Elder Kuei and In Kei, the other 6 died tragically. They were turned into ashes under the thunder cauldron. As for Elder Kuei and In Kei, they were like withered leaves in the wind, constantly fluttering. The light screen on In Kei's body was constantly destroyed. His face was full of horror and fear, twisted into a ball. Boom! The thunder cauldron fell and rapidly shrank. It flew back into Lu Ming's forehead and disappeared. The 10,000 Snake Valley was charred black. Whether it was the ancient trees, weeds, or poisonous snakes, they were all charred black as if they had experienced a lightning tribulation. Chapter 7:11. Qiyu was dumbfounded. She did not expect that Lu Ming would suddenly summon a large cauldron and kill 6 experts of the Shadow Snake tribe with one strike. Moreover, Elder Kuei and In Kei were heavily injured. She felt like she was in a dream. Huff! Lu Ming heaved a long sigh of relief and collapsed to the ground. Now, there was not a trace of true origin left in his body. Even his face was very pale, which was caused by his lifespan being sucked away. Lu Ming, are you all right? Xian Yanqing exclaimed softly and walked over to support Lu Ming. Her eyes were filled with worry. Xian Yanqing's body was strong and her life force was extremely vigorous. Now the wound on her chest was slowly healing and was no longer a problem. Little Qing, help me over there. I want to kill them. Lu Ming said. Xian Yanqing nodded and helped Lu Ming forward. At this moment, Elder Kuei and In Kei were lying on the ground like mud. They were already half dead. In such a situation, they naturally could not control the puppets. The giant snake puppets were all lying on the ground like statues, motionless. Kid, what are you trying to do? Let me tell you, I'm the young master of the Shadow Snake tribe. My father is the tribe leader of the Shadow Snake tribe. If you dare to kill me, you'll definitely die. In Kei shouted. I said, you'll definitely die today. No matter who you are. You can't change the result. Lu Ming slowly walked forward with Xian Yanqing's help. Above his head, the green mind fire spread out. His body was weak and he could not use true origin. However, he could still use the mind fire. Kid, I advise you to let us go. Just now, I've already sent a message back. If you kill us, you'll have to wait for the Shadow Snake tribe's crazy revenge. At this moment, Elder Kuei sneered and struggled to move his body. A voice transmission jade talisman appeared in his hand. Haha, Elder Kuei, well done. In Kei roared with laughter. Then he looked at Lu Ming and shouted, Brat, my father has already received the news. You're dead for sure. Now, if you cripple your own arms and legs and give that bitch to me obediently and serve me, I might spare your lives. Little Qing, I can't move right now. I can't even inscribe inscriptions. I'll leave these 2 to you. Lu Ming spoke to Xian Yanqing as if he hadn't heard Elder Kuei and In Kei's words. All right. Xian Yanqing helped Lu Ming sit down. Holding the dagger in his hand, he walked towards Elder Kuei first. Bitch, what are you trying to do? In Kei roared. You dare? Elder Kuei roared. Xian Yanqing remained unmoved and strode forward. Qiyu came to Lu Ming's side, wanting to say something but hesitated. Puchi! Xian Yanqing arrived in front of Elder Kuei and swung his dagger. Elder Kuei's head flew far away. Then he walked towards In Quebec. No, don't come over. In Kei was terrified, and his face was filled with fear. He didn't expect that Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing would still dare to kill them after knowing that they had been sent back to the Shadow Snake tribe. Where did they get the courage to do so? One had to know that the Shadow Snake tribe was the strongest tribe in the surrounding area. You should have expected this day. Xian Yanqing's eyes were filled with killing intent. His dagger flashed and In Kei's head fell to the ground. The Shadow Snake tribe was all dead. Lu Ming, we have to leave this place quickly. The experts of the Shadow Snake Tribe will be here soon. Qiyu said. All right. Lu Ming nodded. Qiyu put away the intact giant snake puppets, then controlled the cheetah puppet to carry Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing towards the Red Leopard Tribe. Lu Ming sat cross-legged on the cheetah puppet's back and continuously circulated the true dragon battle arts to recover his true origin. The side effects of using the Thunder Cauldron were too obvious. He lost all his true origin and felt weak all over. Even if he still had his mental strength, he couldn't even inscribe inscriptions, which was equivalent to being powerless and at the mercy of others. Moreover, after using the Thunder Cauldron this time, he had a rough understanding of its power. The stronger his cultivation, the stronger the power of the Thunder Cauldron after absorbing true origin and essence Qi.
With his current cultivation, using the Thunder Cauldron should be able to cause a fatal threat to an expert in the 4th layer of the spiritual ocean tier.
But he might not be able to kill them. Just now in the Een Snake Tribe, there were 2 inscriptionists equivalent to the 4th layer of the spiritual ocean tier. The reason why he was able to kill them in one blow was because those inscriptionists used their mental strength to control the puppets, and the puppets were entangled by Dandan's array and couldn't turn back to help. They could only rely on inscription talismans to resist, and their defensive power was naturally greatly reduced, which was why they were killed by Lu Ming in one blow. Under normal circumstances, he could at most heavily injure an expert in the 4th layer of the spiritual ocean tier, but couldn't kill them. As for the 5th layer of the spiritual ocean tier, he could probably only lightly injure them. Of course, if Lu Ming could step into the spiritual ocean tier, his thunder concept and true origin would increase explosively, and the power of controlling the Thunder Cauldron would also increase crazily. Aya, I'm so tired. I accumulated so much energy, and it's all used up in one go. Kid, this time, you have to compensate me well. Dandan laid on Lu Ming's shoulder and kept rolling his eyes. In the 10,000 Snake Valley, just a few hours after they left, a gust of wind blew, and a dozen experts rode on giant snake puppets and arrived here. The person in the lead was a middle-aged skinny man with a poisonous snake coiled around his neck. After they arrived, they quickly rushed into the depths of the 10,000 Snake Valley. Soon, an earth-shattering roar was heard. Kid from the outside world, Red Leopard Tribe, kill, kill, kill. The voice rolled, containing endless killing intent. Even many of the poisonous snakes in the 10,000 Snake Valley trembled and shrank back into their caves. Lu Ming and the others returned to the Red Leopard Tribe, and Lu Ming used all his strength to recover his cultivation. At this time, Lu Ming had already recovered a trace of true origin in his dantian. Then, he took out a large amount of supreme-grade spirit crystals and devoured the energy in them to recover his cultivation. With a trace of true origin, Lu Ming's recovery speed greatly increased. As soon as Qiyu returned to the Red Leopard Tribe, he went to find Qi Jin Kong to report the situation. What? Lu Ming killed Een K? In a hall, Qi Jin Kong's shocked voice was heard. Yes, father. What should we do now? Qiyu stood in front of Qi Jin Kong and asked. Qi Jin Kong's face was solemn, and his brows were tightly knitted together. He said, Een Buhai only has one son, and he has always doted on him. Now that Een K has been killed, I'm afraid he'll go crazy and seek revenge. Pass down the order to strengthen the defenses. Also, I'll inform the elders to come here for a meeting. The atmosphere in the Red Leopard Tribe was tense, and Lu Ming was still trying his best to recover. Half a day after returning to the Red Leopard Tribe, his true origin had finally recovered to its peak. Shao Qing, let me undo the seal on your hands and feet. Walking out of the room, Lu Ming saw Xian Yanqing. Now, Xian Yanqing's injuries were much better, and he was almost fully recovered. Dummy, are you all right? Xian Yanqing looked at Lu Ming with concern. I'm fine. Lu Ming walked over and held Xian Yanqing's small hand in front of his eyes, and observed the seal ring on her wrist. You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.